That's the spot, right? I get confused a little bit. Good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Great to be here with you. Eric says, I like Morning Wood. And, yeah, as do I. I'm Morning Woods. I've been for years since I started on the radio. People have, you need to do a Morning Wood sound. Like, what does that sound like? Morning Wood. It's dumb, I think. If it was just my show, even, it would be like, all right, everybody, welcome to Morning Wood. Let's get it up. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of... This doesn't.
Brought to you by West Coast Men's Health.
West Coast Men's Health. That's right. Acoustic wave therapy. Can't really do a lot of play on words with your name, Paul Reindl.
No. Interesting start to the show, though.
It is. It is. I'm having not the best day. It's fine. We'll get through. Paul Reindl is our executive producer, and he is our imaging director. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Good morning, Benjamin.
Happy Foreigner Tuesday to everybody.
Love Foreigner Tuesday.
Get your day started right with a little Jukebox Hero.
And a little Morning Wood.
Morning Woods.
Morning Woods. It would make more sense if my name was Wood.
Right.
But Morning Woods, it's not a thing.
Like Alex Wood.
Like Alex Wood, if he had his own, James Wood. Alex, if they were together, they could be the Morning Woods, Alex Wood and James Wood. That would be a hell of a radio
The actor
show.
is James Woods.
James Woods.
James
Yeah.
Woods.
I don't know that I want
Like
to listen
you.
to James
Are you
Woods.
related to him?
I am not.
Okay.
Thank God. Thank God. How was everyone's afternoon yesterday? What did everybody do? I know you had to work, Benny. Paulie took a nap. I know that because I called him.
Yeah, I was out.
He didn't answer, and I went, oh, no, he's taking a nap.
I was at work, and then I had to go grab a bite to eat for dinner. So I actually went downtown. I usually avoid it, but I thought Monday it's not going to be too crowded. Find some parking. I was going to get a poke bowl, but the poke place by Petco Park was closed. So then I ended up wandering around by Petco Park, which is like weird. I was walking like the blocks looking for somewhere that was just open that I could grab something to eat, and I ended up at Gallagher Square. The construction fences are up, so I was kind of peeking in, like seeing how it's going.
Investigative reporting.
You could really see the transformation and some of the kind of the raised areas. I was on the like the back end where you'd enter along where Social Tap is
Social
on
Tap
that side.
is right there.
J Street?
Yeah, J Street. I was kind of looking in, and it looks like it's getting close.
Okay.
Like it's taking shape, and I know they're feverishly working to get it ready by opening day the 28th when they play the Giants. But there was definitely a lot of progress that had been made since the last time I had seen it. So
We're a week and a half out from like FanFest.
Well, FanFest is the first event. Yeah,
Oh, that's right. They
And
want to
that's
open
the
it by FanFest.
24th?
Yeah.
25th, 24th?
I
Yeah.
mean,
Whatever that
Peter
Sunday
Seidler's
is.
memorial is the day before that, even. And
That
I
is fair
imagine it's got to be ready by then.
What is your... Now, I saw a tweet over the weekend, and it did get a lot of traction. I think from the research I did on Twitter, I think that these guys are a troll account. And the thing basically said, yeah, sources are telling us there's no way this thing is ready by opening day. In fact, it would be a miracle if it's even ready by the second series. And so I thought to myself, look, I'm not going to overreact and tweet something. I've really gotten a lot better about just not overreacting on Twitter. So had a couple of tweets typed out yesterday, Ben, that I go, what's my end game here? Right? Like, there's no reason to argue about a player yet since the season hasn't started yet, right? Like, it just makes no sense. So I didn't want to call these guys liars. I didn't want to say, you don't have sources. Here's the other thing. I also didn't want to text Eric Grutman and be like, hey, man, is this true? Like, he told us on the show it's going to be done. They had rain days baked in there. Like, you plan for that stuff, especially in San Diego where you never know what can happen.
Or if it does rain, it's a big deal. It'll shut down operations for the day.
Of course. Like, they had
least.
that stuff planned in there.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it will be perfectly ready. I'm not saying it won't. But what I did not do is go do any recon or anything like that. I just hit undo retweet. And I said, I'm going to let this thing play out. Now, I do have a couple of people in that business that I know, in the construction business, in the turf business. And based on some overhead views, they said, no, everything looks good. It looks good. I think they'll get it done.
I'm not a contractor, so
You're not a contractor? I am
simply
kidding.
My layman's
I am
opinion.
kidding. You are kidding.
That it looked like they were nearing the cosmetic, like final stages. It seemed like the heavy work had been completed.
Yeah.
They had a lot of cosmetic work to do, as you said, laying turf and fixing everything up, and that's going to take some time. But I think the weather forecast is pretty good. There was some rain on the way to work this morning, but I think it's just going to drizzle and should go away. And the next week or so, from what I've seen, looks pretty good in terms of weather. So hopefully they can get all those final touches and details done and have it ready in time for FanFest weekend and opening day on the 28th.
Yeah, so for opening day, I've got my media credential, and my wife has an opening day ticket that I bought for her out in Gallagher Square. So if Gallagher Square is not done, I would assume that I'd be like, hey, man, we're not going to be able to open that. Here's your money back for Gallagher Square. Tell Hannah that she's more than welcome to stand outside the ballpark and sniff the food. I'll run out, check on her every 15 minutes or so.
I mean, this is the
Maybe
kind of
table at Bub's or something.
Table at Bub's would be great.
So
Social
I
tap.
walked by, all the way down to Bub's, and I'm going, I don't want Bub's. Bub's is great, but I'm not looking
Why
for
do you
bar
hate
food.
Bub's?
I'm not looking for bar food.
You don't know any
I was
tier
trying
ones
to-
that work there.
I was trying to find something a little more healthy, so I ended up walking all the way back, and I stopped at a place called Nick's. It's a Greek place, a little bit on the east side there of Petco Park, and I had a salad
Plugolo
with chicken,
police.
and it was pretty good.
Good. Any dressing?
Yeah, it had like a honey vinaigrette, like a honey balsamic vinaigrette, and some pita slices, and it was tasty. It was good.
Well, based on the renderings of what we can expect out in Gallagher Square, I'm very excited to see the new additions. I love the Trevor and Tony. Trevor throwing to Tony is going to be cool. My family, we did buy a brick. I'm interested to see where that wound up.
Yeah, I couldn't get in to see the bricks. So
Yeah.
I didn't see that part. My guess would be that given how much they've invested in this, and
It's gotta
they
be.
know what the deadline is going to be, if they had to, we ramp it up a little overtime, a little extra workers to make sure this gets done before we need it to get done. I'd be very surprised if all of a sudden the Padres go, it's actually going to be a month into the season before this thing's open. There's no way.
And sometimes you think, so if you're driving around out there, and especially us, like sometimes I think this job's important. And then I think of that job. I think of somebody that has to build something, number one, and then build something and get it complete in the perfect way on a deadline. I don't know that I would be able to sleep at night knowing we've had, 14 days of rain. We budgeted for exactly 14 days of rain. We're butted up right against the deadline here. Everyone's going to be working 19, 20-hour days. That's going to cost me double, et cetera. But I think they'll get it done. And I do think that Twitter account over the weekend was trolling. Now, I have not heard anything beyond that. I also haven't heard a statement from Eric Grupner saying, no, this is BS. It's going to be done on time.
You can't respond to everything that's posted on social media.
No, you cannot. But I have not heard. I'm putting my trust in their hands to get it done. But it looks good, huh?
I thought so.
Cool.
From what I was peeking in and looking at, I was very excited to check it out in person once it's open to the public.
I can't wait, too. I mean, look, I don't want to ever get back to, as a Padre fan, and I think our audience would probably agree with this, we don't want to get back to the days being a Padre fan that says, well, I mean, God, the ballpark's still just so fun, and I mean, at least we have that. At least the ballpark's badass. It's such a great ballpark. In fact, it's my favorite ballpark. I think it's a lot of people here's favorite ballpark. But there was a time when we started this program together, and it's happened for a while, but there was a time when we started this program that was literally the selling point. It was hot talent lava that may or may not be good, and America's greatest ballpark. And the food was good and interesting, and come on out and watch a team play in a really cool experience. The kids are going to love it. That is all important stuff. But I never want to get back to those days where the ballpark is the star. And I think they've done a decent job of making sure there's still plenty of star power on this team, certainly. So I just don't want to get back to those days.
Standards are high, though. You also don't want, hey, we got a decent team. They're battling for the playoffs, but the ballpark has completely gone to pot, and it's not fun to go see a game there.
Right.
Check the Arizona Diamondbacks
Yeah,
on that front. I'm
good
sure they
point.
had fun last year in the postseason, but for the most part, people don't love their ballpark. They don't like going there. So you really have to nail it on both ends now.
You really do. M.M. McKee says, rock bottom is, quote, well, at least we live in San Diego. I mean, and that's happened. We've had that too. We've had that too. So I don't want to get back to those days. That's what we as fans, when they talk about, demanding more from ownership, they're in a weird position because fans do. Now, I didn't see any. I liked Gallagher Square as is. I thought it was awesome. When I walked through Gallagher Square, I never once looked around and went, could really use a touch up. I'm all for making things cooler, better. I thought maybe a little more room would be good. I've seen some shows out there that I was like, all right, a little tight out here. I'd like a little bit more room. And I like that idea. It's great. But it never occurred to me. I would have said I would rather have an all-world left fielder and then maybe a little bit less. Now, again, I don't know that those budgets and all that is combined. I don't know that one robs from the other. It may not. I have no idea.
You don't pay luxury tax on Gallagher Square improvements.
Exactly
I do
right.
know that.
It's exactly right. It's one of those things as like, and Ben, with a home, if you own a home, the thought of laying out like $40,000 to do a new bathroom, you're like, hey, I don't want to spend this money. Then it's done, and you're like, I'm so glad we spent this money. This was so
we did our
smart.
bathroom right around COVID.
I remember.
And I remember the contractor laying out, here's the $12,000 option, here's the $20,000 option, and here's the $32,000 option. And we ended up going for the big one.
Yeah.
And you know what? Glad we did, because when you were stuck at
Where's
home,
the $1,500
when you're stuck at home for a year, you really like to have a nice big bathroom master suite
Yes.
area.
Yeah.
We had a big closet and everything. It turned out pretty good timing in terms of everything.
and
did the old refi like you're always talking
The
about, loan
refi,
pronto,
and then when you sell it,
Yeah.
though, your value
goes up.
is
That's
more.
good investment
So
in your home.
It's
So
hard. It's
this
hard
is
to
a good
do.
investment in Petco Park. So if they ever do want to, resell it and, to someone else, they'll say, hey, look at the improvements we've made on Gallagher Square. This really increases the value of our ballpark for resale.
Got breaking news in the chat from Donnie. Donnie says, team, as a contractor here in SD, I have intel in regards to Gallagher Square. We will be complete by FanFest. Salute emoji. Shout out to Brightview for always providing good, hard, and quality work. Thank you, Donnie, for breaking that news on the Ben and Woods program. So, Eric Grupner, rest easy. You and your team, great job. Can't wait to see the finished product. Hey, well done. Donnie, thank you for that info, pal.
As for the team, if they play like they did yesterday at Peoria, they'll have a good season. That was the kind of game that you want to see a lot of. We will talk about
Probably
that coming up.
2-1 today.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's,
Yeah. If that happens, Polly, that means we are on
really improved
the
that
road.
spring run differential yesterday.
Yeah, they did.
Against the Mariners.
Joe Musgrove spins a gem.
We'll talk about the game, the
1-0
decisions,
loss.
the upcoming departure tomorrow for Korea. So the final decisions all going to have to be made by AJ Preller and Mike Schild about who's getting on that plane tomorrow night for Korea. You've got to imagine that most people who are going already know. Maybe there's 3 or 4 guys at the back end that are waiting for the decision that will have to come today. You have to tell someone, hey, when you show up to work tomorrow, you're either packing for Korea or you're going back to your Airbnb and spending another, week and a half here in Arizona on, more minor league and B games. So you're going to have to tell people today
It's
if they're
tough,
coming,
dude.
if they're on the traveling party for the Korea series.
Ooh, boy, watching everybody. All right, see you later. And you're like, all right, I guess I'll go get some work on Field 6 back there.
So
Awful.
we'll get into all of that coming up. We've got we'll set the menu when we come back for what we've got today. Ben and Woods, we're glad to have you with us on a Tuesday morning. Don't go anywhere. In fact, in our next segment, we're actually going to give away some early tickets. We've got SD Legion tickets. Want to give the early risers a chance to win today. So that's next after a check of traffic. Kelly Danick. See if she's evilly laughing this morning about what's going on our roadways here on 97.3 The Fan.
Just remind you of our trip out to Arizona as we played Kings of Leon's greatest hits ad nauseum on the drive.
We being
Me,
you,
and you
played it.
You slept through a lot of
some of it,
Yeah.
but I listened to a lot of it as well.
Yeah,
and
we
it's
did.
a long drive.
It's
so
a good road trip band.
you can get a good nap in and also be awake for most of the journey.
That's true.
To Arizona, which we were. However, it's not a. What did they say the flight was going to be? 16 hours, 14 hours?
Over to Korea?
Yeah,
Like,
Phoenix to Seoul.
I thought, like 14?
14
I think?
hours,
Yeah.
Phoenix to Seoul, direct, nonstop. Padres will board the plane tomorrow evening. I was trying to think about the logistics of this. So they'll play their last game tomorrow against the. They play the Arizona Diamondbacks today, and then they have a game against the A's, I believe, tomorrow afternoon. And then, you go in, they'll shower, change, probably hop on a team bus for Phoenix's airport, Sky Harbor Airport
yeah.
in Phoenix.
It's a great one.
I'm sure there's probably a charter terminal with a big 747 jet that'll be waiting for them to board, and then they'll fly, and it'll be like sleep on the plane for most of the night.
Play cards.
Yeah, you have a couple hours in the evening, and then you probably try to settle in and get at least a few hours of sleep while you're over the Pacific Ocean. You wake up in the morning, and you're still 4 or 5, 6 hours away from your destination in Korea. You cross the date line, so as you're flying there, it goes from Wednesday all the way to Friday, because it'll be Thursday, and then it'll be Friday when you cross the date line, and then you arrive likely sometime Friday morning or so in Korea, and then just crash at a hotel for about 24 hours, and then they have a game that weekend. They have one on Saturday in Korea, which will be
Sunday at 3 a.m.
Sunday in Korea.
Which will be Wednesday here.
Sunday at 3 a.m., which will be Monday in Korea, I believe, is their first game. I'm very,
In the
the
daytime.
dateline makes it. The international
We
dateline
will
makes this
carry
very confusing.
here in San Diego on 97 through the fan. We will be carrying a game Sunday morning at 3 a.m.
Okay,
and then again on Sunday. It's the night day rollover.
Yeah.
It'll be at 9 p.m.
So
that
yeah,
night
Sunday
as well.
Sunday
Two
morning,
baseball games.
3 a.m. is a night game on Sunday in Korea,
Which is actually being played on Tuesday from the week before.
and then the Sunday night
It's
game.
not a replay.
And then the Sunday night game here is a Monday day game
Right.
in Korea the next day.
Now I just looked, Googled Phoenix to Seoul. You can't really buy any direct flights. They're chartering a plane, so they can do whatever they want. But it looks like I found a flight that only has a 54-minute layover. So from Phoenix to San Francisco,
Okay.
wait 54 minutes,
Yep.
then Phoenix or San Francisco to Seoul.
What's the damage?
15 and a half hours. So call it 15 hours. Little under 15
So
hours.
this is a good bit here. McKee 23 says you got to stay awake until you get there. Now I've heard that about traveling before.
No, when you get there.
Oh, when you
Not
get there.
until you
Oh,
get there.
when you get
Once
there.
you arrive.
Once
you
you
can't
arrive-
just fall asleep in the middle of the day.
No matter what time it is.
You have to keep yourself up that day when you arrive, which would be Friday in Korea, so you can then go to sleep
at
Friday
night.
night.
I
And wake up Saturday morning feeling like you're on their clock.
I did that in London, and it did not set me up well at all. I wanted to just get right in bed with my wife. We were on our honeymoon, but we didn't. We stayed up, went to the pub, got some fish and chips, walked around, but I felt like death when I after the 14-hour flight or whatever it was. I felt like absolute death, but I think that is probably the best course of action. And they've got doctors and everything to tell you what to do.
But I think one of the reasons why they're going so early is there's very little chance everyone gets acclimated in the first 2 days, but hopefully by the time they actually have to play a game, they'll be feeling fairly normal in terms of body clock in Korea for the games against the Dodgers.
Do you have any, now that it's actually here, do you have any reservations about not going? Because you had planned to go with your family. I think your mom really wanted to go. Was your dad was not going to go. It was going to be you, your mom, your son Jack.
We were talking about it, but no, I think I'm kind of glad that with all the things that are going on here.
Yeah.
I think I'd be
You'd feel left
sad
out.
about I'm missing our watch party at 7 Mile coming
Yeah, we ought to
up.
killed you for that one.
And everything that we've got going this week. I think that would be a difficult thing to miss.
Paulie and I sitting at the blackjack table, Ben gallivanting around Korea. I think we would have been infuriated, Paulie.
Oh.
Infuriated. Well, I'll call in. I'll do a segment. That's not going to help.
No. All right, coming up on the program today, we'll talk about the Padres in our next segment. Had a good day yesterday. The offense broke out big time. As you heard during our show, they named their opening day starting pitcher in Yu Darvish. So we'll talk Padres and Major League Baseball. We never got to the Joey Votto news, signing with the Toronto Blue Jays. I also thought the Giants news yesterday with J.D. Davis was very fascinating and how that all played out. And
I'm going to need you to
releasing him. Yeah,
I'm going to need you to Ben's-plain it for me a little bit.
Ben's playing a little bit on our 7 o'clock hour. We'll play Take on Woods. Don't do this. Our tournament of drops, day 2. Had our first 4 matchups yesterday. We released the field of 32 of our favorite sound bites from the last year. We are now playing them off until we get to a grand champion. For 2024, we'll have our next 4 matchups coming up at 7:35 this morning. Stay tuned for that. In our 8 o'clock hour, we, if you may have seen it on social media, we got an old piece of video with our friend Sam Levitt that I was fascinated by.
As was I.
Sammy will also join us from Peoria at 8:35 so we can discuss that. Tier 1 Tour continues. The Peoria Sports Complex roommates, the Seattle Mariners, in the spotlight today. Rydell Report, some football news. Obviously, it's the legal tampering period in the NFL right now. And as slow as the MLB free agency has been, the NFL is the opposite. It has been fast. It has been furious. It doesn't even open until tomorrow, and there's already been, unofficially, 97 signings, I think, over the last day or so in the NFL. So it's been very busy.
This happens every summer as well with the NBA. I think it's like July, first week of July usually, and it's interesting always how contracts that are worth like $200 million get done at 12:03 a.m. on the night that they're allowed to be legalized.
I'm just really good at negotiating. I don't know what to tell you.
We got the best lawyers in the world. But it happens every year in the NFL and the NBA when that time rolls around for free agents. I mean, they are flying off the board. Huge deals. So much to talk about. What can be done to get this done in baseball?
It's an interesting question.
4 months of slower than molasses.
It's an interesting question because the NFL doesn't really have a deadline on the back end, like you've got to sign by now. But the
new league year starts tomorrow.
The wait, because the Super Bowl was, what about a month ago now?
Yeah. A month more.
A month ago yesterday.
Exactly.
So
was it a month ago?
Like
in
February
baseball,
11th?
remember, free agency starts like a week after the World Series. Maybe they need more ramp up time before the start of free agency to get like more ducks in a row and have that big giant opening period of free agency. And then, there'll be some NFL players where it trails off for a few weeks that are still looking for a job.
Well, if you're an
most of the big free agents will sign in the next couple of days.
If you're an NFL player or you're an NBA player, you know that the teams only have a certain amount of money that they can give you. When you're a baseball player, you're banking on the fact that you just want a Cy Young, and somebody's going to come a-calling with a very nice contract for you. And it didn't work. So when you're a linebacker that's worth maybe $6 million a year, and you find a team that you want to play for that's offering you 5.5, you go, well, if it's not me, they're going to find somebody else. So I'm going to jump to the Carolina Panthers and make this happen.
It's a good point. Scott Boras can always say, hey, my client is worth going over the luxury tax for.
Absolutely.
You can't make that argument in the NFL. There's no going over the salary cap just because you like a player enough. Well, we really like him, so we're going to go over the salary cap. It's not allowed, so they can't make that argument. They've got to really make these decisions and make their plans early. So you see this fury of activity early on in the free agency period. All right, we're going to take a timeout. Before we do, let's give away some Legion tickets. They got their first home game this Saturday against the Rugby FC Los Angeles, and you can win a pair of tickets right now. Quick, first caller, 833-288-0973. Call now, grab tickets at sdlegion.com. It's Saturday, March 16th. It's the home opener, rugby in San Diego at Snapdragon Stadium, 833-288-0973. We'll come back. We'll talk about yesterday's breakout offensive performance by your San Diego Padres and more with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Well, if they all went like yesterday's game at the Peoria Sports Complex, it would be a glorious season for your San Diego Padres. But just like you don't read too much into the losses, you can't really read too much into the victories. But we'll talk about yesterday's game and the final decisions that need to be made today by A.J. Preller and Mike Schilt. Let's check traffic, and then it's into Padres talk here with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a handful of trouble spots northbound side of the 15 right before the 805. There's a stalled car in the center divide. In the North County, dealing with a couple of problems. Southbound side of the 15 just before the 76. Two-car collision over the right shoulder. And westbound 78 right before the 15. Two-car collision over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
9 o'clock yesterday during our show, heard the announcement that Yu Darvish will start Game 1 for the Padres against Tyler Glasnow of the Dodgers. Joe Musgrove will start Game 2 in Korea against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And, I was a little bit surprised. I thought Joe would get the first start. Also thought, did you see Joe's reaction yesterday? He said, yeah, I had some early spring struggles, and certainly you can't argue with you getting the call. He's had experience doing this before. It'll be his third opening day start for the Padres. Probably would have had it last year if he hadn't been set back by the World Baseball Classic and the fact that Team Japan didn't use him that much.
Yeah.
So, he's been the guy before. Go back to being the guy this season. That makes a little bit of sense. Obviously, heading over to Asia. You said he had never been to Korea before. This would be the first time he's ever been to Korea. He's looking forward to it. He considers it an honor, as he always does. He always seems very appreciative of everything he gets, which is one of the reasons why I like Yu Darvish so much.
Class act scene, man. Always has been.
Really, it feels like we get 2 opening days.
Yeah,
a week apart.
We do. We
And if
absolutely do.
Joe maybe gets the San Diego opener.
Mike
Yu
Schilt
gets
didn't
the season
dismiss that
opener.
possibility that Joe could get the first game at Petco Park still.
What do they call it? The domestic opening day. Joe Musgrove. Yeah, it's kind of slated, I think, right now. Dennis Lynn tweeted it as well, that he lines up well to take that start. I think that is a special one. Hometown opening day against Bob Melvin and the Giants. I think that would be epic. And how cool is that? You get both of your top of the rotation guys an opening day start, not in the same season. Not everybody's going to get a chance to do that.
The Padres opened the season on the road, not internationally, of
Right.
course. It feels like more often than not, the season opener is also the home
Yeah,
opener.
I feel
'Cause
like
there are
that
teams
too.
that wait like 2 weeks.
Yeah, they've been home in
they
10
start
days.
the season on like a 10-game road trip.
Yeah.
Well, and that's by design. The colder weather
Colder weather.
cities, they tend to
for sure.
start them later. In the warmer cities, they will let the
What
Padres
if we
be
were
at home
playing on
early
the
in the
road in
season.
Kansas
They
City.
started in 2022 at Arizona and at San Francisco. They spent a week on the road just 2 seasons ago. Would I have remembered that? Now that was post lockout,
Yes,
if
that's
I
right.
remember
That's
correctly.
right.
So I don't know if they were originally scheduled to be at home.
Probably.
And then they ended up
Probably.
on the road, but they did play their first 7 games away from Petco Park in 2022. Then came back against the Braves on April 14th, and they absolutely stomped them 12-1 in that game.
One.
Yeah.
That was a fun one.
There was a lot to like about yesterday's 13-3 victory over the Seattle Mariners, Ben. I think, highlighted by Jeremiah Estrada, goes 2 innings, 2 scoreless innings, gives up 1 hit, struck out 3.
He is making it very difficult
I mean,
on Mike Schilt, Ruben Niebla.
actually,
How do you not put that guy in the bullpen?
I go the other way. He's making it really easy for those guys because you look at what he's done, his body of work so far. 7 1/3 scoreless frames this spring. He could be
Arguably, he's been the most effective reliever for
Yeah.
the Padres all spring.
middle guy, long guy. Like he
Now-
looks good.
Now, he's also pitched a lot of late inning games
Against
probably more minor leaguers. You do have to take that into consideration. You also have to take into consideration, what are you giving up? If you put Jeremiah Estrada in there and there's no room for, Jose Avila, Pedro Avila,
or Jose Alvarez.
or Jose Avila.
Any of the Avilas.
He doesn't have any options left. Are you going to expose him to waivers just to keep a Jeremiah Estrada? Those are the difficult decisions that the Padres are facing. And they don't have to make those decisions before they leave for Korea.
Yeah.
They can take all those guys if they want with them and leave those decisions more for opening day. But they are coming up one way or another. And Jeremiah Estrada is a guy like, how do you not give him an opportunity the way he has thrown this spring?
I think you have to. And then it has come a little bit more into focus for right now what the probably the 8th and 9th inning for Mike Shilt's going to look like. And my guess would be just like it was Wandy Peralta in the 8th, big game Bob Suarez in the 9th. They
Both pitched yesterday.
Yeah, each threw a scoreless inning, 2 Ks each. Peralta has a 1.80 ERA. Suarez has gotten his ERA down to 6.75. We always talk about the reliever that has one bad outing early, and he has to whittle down that ERA, for the next 3 months to get it back down to something respectable. Those numbers can be a little bit superficial in the bullpen, but I was really impressed with what I saw from those guys, and of course. Can't talk about the Padres yesterday without talking about Jackson Merrill, Ben. 3 for 4, double, homer, 3 runs, 2 stakes. Unbelievable. So that's going to be your opening day center fielder. He's hitting .344 with a .931 OPS again, spring training. He has not, they were making a lot of comments yesterday, a lot of people I really respect, saying he's not looked overmatched really at all this season. The bat to ball is there. He's got a really, really good eye. Seems to be a little bit more mature than his 20 years on the planet would lead us to believe. But he looks good, and I feel more confident every day with that guy out there.
We've talked about it with him pretty much every day for the last few weeks now. Is he forcing himself onto the roster, or is he going to be on the roster purely out of necessity?
I think
it's
a little bit of both. You know, I mean, it's worked out perfectly. Like that's the dream. Like, oh God, do I have to go out and spend $6 million on Michael A. Taylor? Actually, maybe I don't. Look how well he's playing.
It's not like if we didn't acquire Kyle Higashioka and we didn't have Brett Sullivan, we had just some guy, and then Campy got hurt, and they're like, Ethan Salas, welcome to the show. That would be really pushing him along out of necessity, way too early. This doesn't feel that way.
Feels like he was earmarked, for a guy that was at least going to get a clean shot, and they gave him a clean shot. They played him in 2 different positions. The shortstop thing went out the window. I don't know that he's played an inning at shortstop. Maybe on a backfield somewhere, but I haven't even seen that reported.
I think if you had last year's roster today, with Jackson Merrill having a spring like he's had, he's at least fighting for a fourth outfielder.
Yeah,
potentially. And he might even be your starting center fielder.
Yeah, potentially.
Still.
He's answered pretty much every question that we've had so far, and that doesn't mean he's going to just, from day one, going to be an all-star out there. There's going to be some struggles for Jackson Merrill, but the talk is fairly clear. He's made the team. He's going to be the opening day center fielder, barring a big surprise. And as you said, imagine if the Padres had gone out with their limited available funds and signed a Michael A. Taylor for a few $1 million and then went, we like Jackson Merrill. We just basically wasted that money. This is why, potentially, you see the patience from A.J. Preller before they just go out and just throw a bunch of money at outfielders. They want to know what they had on their roster.
You said early in spring training that was going to be their MO. That was kind of your gut feeling. And wait and see what we have. None of those guys have gone anywhere, by the way. You want Michael A. Taylor, Ben? You could sign him today. That's a fact. You want Adam Duvall? You can sign him today. You want Brandon Belt? You can sign him today. If you want Tommy Pham, you can sign him today. Luckily, I guess, none of those guys are off the board. In case something happens, something catastrophic, or something to give you more peace of mind to build maybe a better lineup. Those guys are still there. So mission accomplished in the waiting game. But Jackson Merrill I'm very impressed by him because he saw an opportunity and he said, I'm taking this thing. Now, guy could start his big league career 0 for 18. It's happened to better players than Jackson Merrill.
I don't think he's going to.
I don't think he is either.
I think notable yesterday, Padres scored 4 of their runs in the first 3 innings against a quality major league starter in Logan Gilbert.
Really, really good.
Jackson Merrill's home run did not come against Gilbert, but he did single off of Gilbert and then homered off one of the relievers in the 4th inning when he came up. His first spring home run, 3 for 4. Padres got a ton of offense yesterday. Across the board, Manny had a 2-run single early in the game. He's looked like he's rounding into form, at least at the plate, if he's going to start at the designated hitting position. And then that outfield battle for those last spots, my goodness, everyone just continues to go, it's me. It's Eggy Rosario. He's more of an infielder, but Jose Azocar hit a 3-run home run yesterday.
Did he have 2 yesterday, Sugar?
He had a triple and a home run, I believe. Yeah, so he's had a terrific spring. Could he be your starting left fielder on opening day?
Potentially.
Will it be Jurickson Profar?
It probably will because of the righty-lefty matchup. But, I mean, Sugar has had a really nice camp.
Oscar Mercado has had a good camp. There's still a couple of competition and spots left, and I imagine those are the last decisions that are going to be made, determining who that last outfielder and infielder are on the Padres roster before opening day. Darvish, by the way, on the day that he got named the starter, looked pretty good. 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 58 pitches. In fact, he was so efficient they had to have him throw a little bit in the bullpen after he was done with his start, just to stretch out a little bit more and get to the level that he was going to. Graham Pauley's an interesting case. He went 2 for 5 yesterday. His batting average is .323 this spring. And I saw a quote, I think it was in a UT Notes column, that one of the front office people said, still don't think, Graham Pauley's quite. I'd be surprised if he makes the opening day roster.
Wow, really?
We've been talking the last couple of days with guys, like Sam Levitt, that maybe think that Graham Pauley could be the third baseman while Manny Machado is DHing early in the season. It could also still be a guy like Tyler Wade. It could be Eggy Rosario. Is Graham Pauley ready? He certainly performed well enough this spring to maybe get that opportunity, but he's also had very limited experience at Double-A, just a little bit at the end of last season, and there is also thinking that he could use more seasoning in the minor leagues before they bring him up. So he's one of the last decisions that the Padres are going to have to make.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Again, same type of profile as Jackson Merrill. Good bat to ball, doesn't chase a lot. I mean, you dream of that. Now, they're going to be running into a few of the best pitchers that they've ever seen, bar none. Tyler Glasnow, and then whoever is coming in out of the pen behind him, and then they're going to face Yamamoto, who, I know he got roughed up, I think, in his last start against the White Sox, but his first start, I mean, he's filthy. He's filthy. That's why they gave him $300 million, basically sight unseen at the big league level. They're going to have their hands full. You're going to face 2 of the best arms you'll probably see all year in the first 2 games, as both of them potentially making their debut. And if they can,
but probably not going to go more than 5 or 6. Early in March. So
well, they basically. I think we talked to Eno when we talked to Eno last week. He goes, "Look, don't be surprised if it's a bunch of 3-inning guys. I mean, really, if Glasnow goes out and throws up 3 scoreless." It's probably going to be a bullpen fest out there, which is why they're taking so many guys, and they're going to use guys as they see fit. So I wouldn't expect anybody going super deep into a game. It's early. There's no reason to do that, but if you've got plenty of arms and extra arms and guys you could potentially send down if you need to after the series, great, use them.
The final rotation spots for the Padres, we discussed it a little bit yesterday with both Matt Waldron and Johnny Brito throwing well, especially of late. But Drew Thorpe is going to get the start today against the Arizona Diamondbacks. 110 start at the Peoria Sports Complex. And he's not out of the mix. They've sent a bunch of guys down to minor league camp. He's remained with the big leaguers. I think you can read a little bit into that at the very least, the Padres are waiting as long as they can to make that decision. Now, do I expect Drew Thorpe to be in the Padres starting rotation right at the start of the season? I don't think I expect that, but I wonder how big today's performance is for Drew Thorpe and what the potential plan could be. I mean, there's a reason he's still up, right? There's a reason he's not sent down to minor league camp. They could have sent him down with some of the other guys and got, hey, Drew, you've looked fantastic. You're going to be one of the first guys probably we call up for the minors. Get your head right. We'll get you ready for the season. If he's still there, you've got to figure they're thinking about taking him to Korea.
Oh, yeah, man.
And thinking about putting him in the starting rotation right away.
Yeah.
So he's been impressive. This is going to be his last showcase, obviously, probably before the season. He might throw in one of those. If he goes to Korea, he could throw in one of those exhibition games in Korea. But very interesting day here for the Padres and Drew Thorpe against the Diamondbacks.
I mean, he's done a really, really nice job. And you don't know what they have up their sleeve this season, Ben. Again, all those innings they have to replace. There's a few different ways you can do it. Mike Schilt is not going to have 5 horses in his starting rotation that are all going to give you 5 and 6 every time out. The dream, as it lines up, You Darvish will eventually get to a point where you can count on him, like every other manager here that has with you. Let him roll, man. 7 innings, he's going to get there. Let Joe roll. If he's going, let him roll 7 innings, whatever. You've got a good bullpen as well. Michael King is another guy. He wants to personally add how many innings to his. He wants 180.
He
What's
wants
his
to
top?
add like 80.
Yeah, he wants to add 80
a name.
innings. They're going to baby him a little bit. They're going to baby their number 4 starter, Johnny Brito. They're probably going to baby Matt Waldron as well. The last 3 guys in the pen, Ben, if you have a Drew Thorpe that can piggyback with one of those guys, if you have some guys that are more long type guys that can piggyback, that's how you fill those innings. I realize that that's pie in the sky, but that's kind of the dream. And I think the direction of the San Diego Padres, let our 2 horses at the top eat what they can, and then we'll figure out the rest.
I think one of the challenges for Ruben Niebla this year will be how patient do you be with a starting pitcher? If Johnny Brito struggles in his first outing or two, do you immediately go to Randy Vasquez or Drew Thorpe or someone else? If they're throwing well, at what point do you say, hey, but we do need to back off and save some innings for later in the season? And managing the innings and the expectations and just planning over the course of 6 months, I think, is going to be one of the great challenges for Ruben Niebla and the Padres pitching staff in getting to that total. What is it they say? Like the 700 to 800 innings they have to replace. How are they going to do that and try to maximize the effectiveness of the guys that they're using throughout the season without, spending all those innings before they get to, September and hopefully October, where they still would like to be playing, even in a scaled back year. They want to be playing in October, and you can't run out of pitching once you get to the playoffs. So you have to plan accordingly that you're going to be playing late in the season and need some of these guys to still be fresh enough to give you big-time innings in the postseason.
No doubt. No doubt about it, man. I do not envy them. I never envy people that have to manage bullpens and, manage starting pitchers' workloads. It's such a long season, and you really have to. There's magic involved in it.
1 hour down, you got a game of Take on Woods, chance to qualify for Vegas in our musical trivia challenge. Also, Ben-splaining what happened with the Giants and J.D. Davis yesterday. Coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. We'll be right back. Oh, number 2, Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Got Take on Woods coming up in just a second. If you want to get in early, 833-288-0973. 5 questions of musical trivia with a chance to qualify for a grand prize getaway to Las Vegas, 2 nights at the Fontainebleau, dinner, $150 dinner credit while you're there. Padres could still be in the market for a designated hitter. We haven't talked about that much. Manny's going to have that job for a while, but not all season. He's going to return to third base.
Saw him throwing yesterday.
So that's good. And once he's back at third, there's really no obvious candidate. I mean, whoever's hot could take that job, but Padres could still go out and look for someone else. And a new name has just emerged onto the free agent market in the last 24 hours. J.D. Davis, infielder for the San Francisco Giants, who is he's put up decent numbers. Last season, hit 248 with 18 home runs, had a OPS plus of 103, so a slightly above average, league hitter. Had a 133 OPS plus in 2022 with the Mets and Giants. Had 12 home runs that year, hit 248 as well. Not an all-star necessarily, but someone who could help a major league roster. So why is he available? Because he was under the control of the Giants. He was arbitration eligible, and they tendered him a contract. So in most cases, that means he's locked into the San Francisco Giants for the season. They were unable, however, to reach an agreement before the arbitration process. So they exchanged their figures for arbitration last month. He asked for $6.9 million. The Giants countered with $6.55 million. So a difference of $350,000 out of almost $7 million on arbitration. Not that much. Padres don't do this under A.J. Preller. They don't go to arbitration, but a lot of teams do. The Giants have what they call is a file and trial process. And that is, if you don't agree to a contract before the arbitration numbers are exchanged, they cut off negotiations and go, all right, now that we've exchanged it, we're going to the trial, and we'll let the arbitrator decide.
Just like that.
Just like that. So they went to the process of arbitration, and he won. The arbitrator said, yeah, those numbers, we think $6.9 million is more appropriate. You win your arbitration hearing, and theoretically locking in that salary for this year. However, in what, at least to fans, is a somewhat little-known provision of the collective bargaining agreement, when a contract for an arbitration-eligible player is decided by the arbitration panel, it is no longer guaranteed, and the team can release the player if they don't want to pay that arbitration-awarded salary. And the Giants decided, after, by the way, signing Matt Chapman to the same position, infield, third base, that they no longer needed J.D. Davis. So they cut him. They had to pay him a 30-day termination pay, which is about a little over $1 million, but not the $7 million that he was going to get. And he becomes a free agent and is now available on the open market. An interesting.
What does he cost now?
Well, I mean, an arbitrator said he was worth $7 million, but that doesn't mean he's going to get that on the open market. The
Giants will pay him about $1 million.
Supply and demand will determine now what J.D. Davis gets, and we know the market right now is very slow for everybody. He now jumps in with Tommy Pham and other offensive players who are available still. The pitchers who are waiting and the teams that don't seem like they are that eager to spend some money at the end. So not sure what he could get, whether you could get him for a bargain or whether he's going to be holding out for what he thought he was going to get in arbitration, but he is now available. Now, he's right-handed, doesn't quite, fit that left-handed mold. The Padres need more lefties, but with Merrill and, perhaps Paulie making the roster, perhaps left-handedness isn't quite as critical as it seemed like it was going to be for the Padres a month ago.
But if you have Paulie and if he's on the roster and you want him to get ABs, are you now going to platoon J.D. Davis and Graham Paulie at third, hindering maybe Paulie's development? Now, in the first series, it's going to be some righties, but the Dodgers got some lefties in their bullpen. I mean, maybe it's a decent idea. I don't know that J.D. Davis at $6 million, call it, is the right.
I'd be a no on
fit
that.
Here, I probably would as well. He's decent defensively, not great, which is why they upgraded to Matt Chapman. They wanted a great defensive third baseman. They got one in Chappie. So his agent was pretty pissed. His agent is Matt Hannaford. And he said, quote, "In my 22 years in the business, I've never seen a club in arbitration make their one and only offer less than an hour before the exchange deadline that ended up hundreds of thousands of dollars below their filing number. The way the Giants negotiated gave JD no choice but to go to a hearing, which he did, and we won." And so I don't really know who to blame. Then Farhan defended himself and said, essentially, look, we are well with when anytime somebody says we're well within our rights, that raises my haunches at least. We're well within our rights to look at this contract.
They gamed the system a little bit.
Yep.
They obviously, that late offer was perhaps designed to want to go to arbitration, knowing, hey, we're talking to Matt Chapman.
Sure.
And we don't want to be necessarily stuck with J.D. Davis. And the only way we can get out of his contract now is if we go to arbitration with him. So
and they tried to trade him. They had no takers.
They made a lowball offer of less. So in arbitration, they said, hey, our lowball offer is 6.55. They offered less than that before arbitration, which, of course, in that last hour, J.D. Davis and his agent said, no, we know we're worth more than that. And when the Giants said, fine, then we'll go to arbitration, they upped the offer a little bit more in arbitration, which was weird. And then they lost the arbitration, but it does seem like the Giants all along didn't want J.D. Davis to sign, knowing that they wanted to go to arbitration because if they signed Matt Chapman, they wanted to be able to let him go.
Padres did this, according to the article. They did it to Todd Walker in the spring of 2007.
I've completely forgotten that.
A panel awarded him like $4 million. They cut him, and he received $971,000 instead. That's a different feeling when you're going into a season thinking, I'm going to make $3.95 million, and they let you walk for not even $1 million. It's happened before. Todd Green, the Angels did it to him as well. But J.D. Davis losing out on $6 million, it says, becomes perhaps the highest profile example on record.
The market's weird now, though. We didn't talk about it yesterday, but Joey Votto's agreeing to a minor league deal with the Toronto Blue Jays. Not that Joey Votto is a premier free agent anymore, but it's got to be at least giving agents and players pause right now. Is what's left? What is left for teams to spend at this point? Is there any team that really is willing to add a major contract right now? The Yankees, obviously, with Garrett Cole's injury situation, you've got to think that both of those, frontline pitchers in Snell and Montgomery have to be on their radar, but they're over the luxury tax. Do they actually have the money to add a giant contract right now? No one's really sure about that.
It's interesting, too, because they traded Jordan Montgomery for basically a bag of balls, and never...
It's not that palatable to then try to sign him for a premier contract.
Like, we had him. We had him on the cheap. We traded him for Harrison Bader. Now we're going to have to pay him 50,000 times what we had him for. Farhan and the Giants have been under a lot of scrutiny in the offseason. They've lost out on some big free agents. J.D. Martinez just flat out said, I don't want to play there. The Brandon Crawford situation was another interesting one. And Brandon Crawford, when he was picked up by St. Louis, said, they didn't want me back in the Giants organization, and I never really heard from anyone. So, they're getting egged right now, pretty good up in San Francisco, which fine by me.
But they, you got Jung Ho Lee, you got Matt Chapman. I mean, they certainly haven't had a bad offseason either for the San Francisco Giants. They've upgraded a team that finished, remember, below the Padres eventually. They were ahead of the Padres most of the year. They ended up finishing below the Padres in the division last year. So
I just don't know. I don't know how much J.D. Davis helps this team, but of course, when anybody comes available, and you look at our lineup and you look at our roster and you say, okay, yeah, I mean, if you could get Adam Duvall on the cheap, he's got some serious pop. I thought Brandon Belt was almost a no-brainer after the season he had last year.
The reporting is the Padres continue to talk to Tommy Pham, Adam Duvall, Michael A. Taylor, but even if they signed today, it's likely none of them would come to Korea. They'd probably go to Peoria and spend a couple of weeks getting ready. So the roster, we know who's going to Korea. We don't know
which
exactly.
Which is fine. We put a lot of emphasis on opening day.
It's two games.
It's two games out of 162. So
the negotiations, the discussions will continue. But the people who are going to Korea are already in camp, and we've already seen them. That seems to be clear.
Yes.
It's just down to the last couple of spots at the end of the roster.
No doubt.
All right, we'll get back to some baseball a little bit later. Right now, though, let's see if we can qualify a Tier 1 for a trip to Las Vegas. It's time for today's game of Take on Woods. All right, we just had our caller drop off, so we need you to call in 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973.
Just about to get to you, man.
Yeah, we're just about to get to you. Remember, if you call in, sometimes we just put you on hold. You won't hear anyone's voice because Paulie's in the studio with us. He can't just be picking up the phone going, hey, it's Ben Woods. Who's this? Because you'll hear him in the background. So we have to be very quiet, very subtle. And sometimes you just get on hold and just be patient and we can get to you. So if you want to jump in right now, 833-288-0973 to play Take on Woods. Now, Woods has already left, so we're just kind of
sit there. We got to wait for the delay.
vamping and stalling. But, yeah, you can get in and play Take on Woods. I can give you the prize. I can give you the sponsor. Take on Woods is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. I can give you the prize. Beat or tie Woods, qualify for a 2-night stay at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, and dinner for 2. Book now at FontaineBleuLasVegas.com. All right,
Let's go back to Ralph.
All right, we got Ralph called back in. Ralph, you want to play Take on Woods?
Yeah, sorry guys,
that's
I didn't hear Paulie earlier.
That's it. He won't always hear Paul. You just have to be patient. He's in the studio with us, so he just can't be picking up the phone and talking to everybody. But you're in. All right, let me give you the categories for today's game. Here are your choices. We've got Beach Party. 5 answers, things you'd likely find at the beach. Mind games. Those all answers contain the word mind or minds. And our new category, Forever and Ever. 5 song titles that include either the word ever or the word forever. So, Beach Party, Mind Games, Forever and Ever. What's it going to be?
We're going to go Beach Party.
Beach Party. All right, it's been sitting there for a little while. Today's category, musical answers, including things you'd likely find at the beach. You'll have 60 seconds to answer as many of the 5 as you can. If you don't know an answer, say pass. We can come back to it if there's time left on the clock. First question, our 2-second song. Paulie, you're going to play a little music. You need to give me the title of the song and the artist to score that one. Ralph, are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Category Beach Party. Good luck, Ralph. Let's take on Woods.
Everybody going surfing by the Beach Boys.
That's not the title. Which British rock band and former Eurovision Song Contest winner is best known for their 1985 hit Walking on Sunshine?
Walking on sunshine. Pass.
Sleep with one eye open, gripping your pillow tight is the pre-chorus for which 1991 Metallica hit?
Enter the Sandman.
Correct. Which upbeat hit did Sheryl Crow perform live for the first time at the 2002 AFC Championship game between the Patriots and Steelers?
Sheryl Crow. Beach. Pass.
The Surfaris are best known for which 1962 instrumental single?
Pass.
Which British rock band and former Eurovision Song Contest winner is best known for their 1985 hit Walking on Sunshine? Oh, we got the 1. You did get the Beach Boys. You got the half point. I don't know. Should I start awarding half points, like 4.5, like 1.5?
Maybe.
It's Surfing USA is what that song is called by the Beach Boys. Katrina and the Waves is your Walking on Sunshine band. You got to enter Sandman. Soak Up the Sun is Sheryl Crow's song. Had no idea. Patriots, Steelers, championship game. First time she performed it live. And the Surfaris, that's Wipeout. Wipeout.
Weird.
Woodsy?
This would be like a minus 5,000 bet here, I think, against Woods.
Yeah, I think he's a heavy favorite. We'll see. All right, Ralph's score is locked in. Woods doesn't get the category. Adds to the level of difficulty for our all-time champ. 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Ralph.
If
Surfing USA Beach Boys.
Correct. Which British rock band and former Eurovision Song Contest winner, best known for their 1985 hit "Walking on Sunshine"?
Katrina and the Waves.
Correct. "Sleep with One Eye Open, Gripping Your Pillow Tight" is the pre-chorus for which 1991 Metallica hit.
Enter Sandman.
Correct. Which upbeat hit did Sheryl Crow perform live for the first time at the 2002 AFC Championship game between the Patriots and Steelers?
Soak Up the Sun.
Correct. The Surfaris are best known for which 1962 instrumental single?
Is that Surf's Up?
No, it's Wipeout, but it's a win.
Wipeout.
It's a win
All
for
right.
Woods today,
I'll
4-1.
take it down.
Ralph, thank you for playing.
Thanks, Ralph.
Woods is our champion in our category, Beach Party,
Oh, I like that.
today. I like all these songs, actually, on our
Yeah,
list.
I do too. I really like that Sheryl Crow song.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
I like Wipeout.
Do
By the
do that creepy
Surfaris.
laugh again.
Wipeout. That's how the song starts.
He did that earlier when you were out there. I was like, whoa.
Isn't that how it starts?
Yes.
Play. Can you go to Surfaris, Paulie, and see how I compare my Wipeout to their Wipeout?
Yes.
Give me Wipeout.
I mean,
That's me.
that's a
I know, it's hard
seed.
to-
That's a one seed in the
Yeah,
2025
just mark it.
tournament of
Mark it
drops.
down. 100%. Holy crap, Ben. You really went for it there.
I did.
Where's the real one?
Where's the? Yeah, we need the
Pull
real
it up.
one. We need Paulie to pull that up just so we can compare.
Wow. That's pretty good, man.
Wipeout.
Oh,
That was
man.
incredible.
Thank you. Wipeout.
That might be my of all the Ben drops we ever had.
That's
that is
really good, dude.
up there. Holy.
Wipeout. If we ever have like a caller who flames out, that's our
Yes! Yes! Oh,
new. That's
that
our new
is-
pull the plug soundbite.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting for that. Yeah, hey, this is a terrible call. You're out of here, buddy. And then
Wipeout.
sounds like a mouse.
Hey, Woods, what game show were you on
I
back in
don't
the
want
day?
to talk about it.
Wipeout.
It's on Hulu. It's on Hulu.
Oh,
man.
Is
my
it your
God.
episode is available on Hulu?
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Wipeout.
It's like the worst PTSD every time somebody posts a screenshot from it.
All right, don't do this. Don't do this is coming up next. Word of advice. If you're going to carve something in stone, and I'm not talking about the expression like, hey, it's carved in stone, Yu Darvish is going to be the opening day starter.
No, if you
I'm
literally-
talking about literally carving something in stone.
Yeah.
You better make sure you don't make any mistakes. That's coming up next with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. All right, time for Don't Do This. I will get us started today. We're running just a couple of minutes behind with the tweet yesterday. I believe a German journalist who was visiting Kobe Bryant's new statue outside of Crypto.com Arena noticed a couple of spelling errors.
How does this happen?
I don't know.
How does this happen?
First of all, maybe it was unnecessary. They put the entire box score for his 82-point game against the Toronto Raptors, which leads to a lot of writing. And a couple of the players they got wrong. For instance, on the Toronto Raptors, instead of Jose Calderon, it says Jose Calderson. They just added an S.
Oh, man.
Calderson.
And then on the Lakers box score, end of the bench, they had a player named Von Wafer, V-O-N. But
Von Wafer.
They wrote it Vom.
Wafer.
V-O-M.
How
and
do you do this?
he also did not play to a coach's decision, but they spelled it D-E-C-I-C-I-O-N instead of D-E-C-I-S-I-O-N. And the reason why that one is the most egregious, because right above them, Andrew Bynum also did not play due to a coach's decision. They spelled that one right. So the person who was carving this into the marble base of the statue did it right, and then right below it, I mean, he could see it like, okay, we're doing the exact same thing twice. All of a sudden, he changed the S to a C on the next one. Someone is simply like, hey, this is what it says on my sheet of paper. I'm doing it this way. Maybe they wanted it spelled differently in two different ways, just so decision could look unique in each of their instances. The Lakers said they are aware
Yeah, we're aware.
of the errors,
We saw
and they
it.
are working on getting it corrected. I have no idea how you correct something that is carved in marble, though. I mean,
All right, so
There's gotta be-
Go with me. You fill it with some sort of putty. Right? You let that harden and dry, and then
make
you
it look like marble,
make it look like marble,
and then recarve
and then have
it.
to recarve it. But I think the grooves might still. I don't know. You
it's-
guys biff this thing. You can't just do the whole base again.
No.
Taking the bronze
statue off. And, I mean, marble, it's not cheap.
It wouldn't surprise me if this. You know what? Let's just bang the entire base and just stick the statue out there on a log.
You didn't need to put an entire box score
You
on
didn't.
there.
My
That's
God, we get it.
too ambitious.
It's really
I think.
good.
Ouch.
I totally understand it. What kind of buffoonery is that? Three, not one letter out of place.
Three spelling
misspellings
errors at least that they've caught
that
so
they've
far.
caught. That is outstanding work.
At least they got Kobe.
Dodger
right.
and Laker fans. Well done, guys. This is pretty gnarly, man. Dak Prescott says a woman is threatening to go public, Ben, with a false sexual assault allegation against him, unless he strokes her $100 million check. And now he has countersued, suing her for extortion. Her name is Victoria Shores. She wrote him a letter in February saying, look, this happened in 2017, just after his rookie season with the Cowboys had finished up. She said, you abused me, and I want $100 million. And if you give me $100 million, I won't say anything. I think the old extortion plot goes wrong when the person you're trying to extort says, okay, great, bring it on. Now I'm going to sue you as well.
It's always tough because, again, you don't want to not believe accusers. However, there is a right and a wrong way.
Yeah.
If you feel like, something has happened to you, you go to the authorities,
Sure.
you report it, and I know not everyone can report things right away. Sometimes there's a lag. It's
Sure, it takes some time.
difficult. It takes some time. But it's never the right thing to do to extort the person.
Right, to say, all right, I won't say anything. I just need $100 million.
That's clearly a don't do this
Correct.
if that's what she was trying to do, regardless of what happened in their relationship. And maybe facts will come out, maybe they won't. But you can't just go to the person and say, you better pay up or I'm going to the press.
I mean, what a shocking letter to get in the mail or whatever from 2017, and then all of a sudden, his attorney said the fact that Mr. Prescott did not hear a single negative thing about this supposed interaction from nearly a decade ago is truly telling of her motives. Now, he is countersued for defamation, slander, civil extortion, duress, and more. Wow. Interesting story to watch out of Dallas, here in Dallas, Ben.
All right, I have some audio here for Do This. A couple of pieces of audio. Now, Paula, you brought one to the table.
Mega Doo-Doo.
Yes, the legendary Kevin Harlan was calling a basketball game yesterday and had to do a read, as you hear throughout the game. He was promoting The new series of Halo on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
And I think Woods in particular is going to like this. It's giving strong vibes of make it your own.
Oh, make it your own.
Like as if the sales reps for CBS
said, hey,
just
we got a
told Kevin Harlan,
we got a Halo read for you.
Just listen.
The new season of Halo is now streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus. Watch Master Chief and his team of Spartans take on alien threats to save all of humanity. They told me to read it with some vigor and as a thespian.
Well, humanity will certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, good. Paramount Plus will carry that original series Halo.
It's good to know that our sales
It's
staff
not just us.
also works for TNT or whoever Kevin Harlan
All
is
right, I'm
working
going to tell
for.
the sales
Read it
people
with
something.
some vigor, Woods.
You have to have some balls to tell Kevin Harlan how to do anything.
Anything.
I mean, anything at all.
Kevin Harlan, read it with some vigor. The guy does everything with
Everything
vigor.
he has is with vigor. Everything.
Watch Master Chief and his team of Spartans
Sounds
take
like Craig
on
Elston, honestly.
alien
That's what Kevin
threats
Harlan sounds
to
like right
save
there.
all of humanity.
Doesn't he?
Craig's got some vigor.
Craig's got
Told me to
vigor,
read it with
too.
some vigor.
I don't have a ton of vigor.
God, that's
No.
You are vigorless. Yeah, you pretty much are vigorless.
You're the anti-vigor.
Yeah, you're the anti-vigor.
All right, I wanted to bring some vigorous audio as well to
That
the
is
table.
fantastic. They
So
told
good.
me to read it with some vigor. If I ever see that on our sales orders, I'm going to lose my mind.
I believe this was the call on NBC Sports Bay Area last night. One of the dunks of the season. Trace
I saw
Jackson Davis of the Golden State Warriors taking it, rookie from the Indiana Hoosiers, taking it to Victor
Indiana
Wembanyama.
Hoosiers?
Indiana Hoosiers?
Yeah, he was the rookie. He went to Indiana,
Oh, he-
and now
from-
he plays
yes.
for the
Golden
Golden
State
State Warriors. They were playing against the San Antonio Spurs. First round draft pick from the Indiana Hoosiers, and he took it to Victor Wembanyama, the tall rookie with the 8-foot wingspan. And what a call this was!
Where's
on
Wemby from?
France?
France.
Yes.
Bucket. One more bucket or one more stop. Trace Jackson Davis. Oh! He put the entire country of France in the basket. Take that 8-foot wingspan with you.
Great call. And I mean, Wemby goes like flying. He stumbles backwards,
Yeah.
almost like he's comically acting
Yeah.
at this part. His legs go flying. He is absolutely, completely owned by Trace Jackson Davis on a dunk. And it was a good call, too.
Good call.
And it's don't and do this for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, it is round one of our tournament of drops. We've got our first four winners to announce from the explicit region of our 32 drop bracket. And our next four matchups, are we going to the baseball region today, Paul?
Yes, baseball
the baseball
region today.
region of our bracket, as you will have the opportunity to vote. Coming up next with Ben and Woods, the tournament of drops continuing on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. With vigor. Tournament of Drop season is here. I realized, because I remember the NCAA tournament, which starts next week. I remember being like at Padres opening day, or at least at, like the opening series, and having like the NCAA final on, like in the press box at Petco Park. Like the championship game was on, and the Padres were playing one of their first games of the season.
Last year.
I don't know if it was last year, but in recent years, that's happened.
Championship usually is like first week of April.
The Padres will play a real game next week before there has even been an NCAA tournament game. Well, there'll be 2 play-in games on Tuesday. But before like a round of 64 has even started, the Padres will have 2 games in the books, actually, because Thursday is when the first big day of the tournament is next week. You know, the major first round day 1. And the Padres will already have both of their games in Korea played before we've even started the NCAA tournament this year.
You're very vigorously excited about that.
I don't know. It just felt like either baseball season's getting earlier, which it is.
It is.
Basketball season's
Getting
going longer,
later,
which it may
which
be
it
as
is, I
well.
think.
But both of those seem to be true. And instead of like the baseball season starts right as the NCAA tournament is wrapping up, now baseball season is starting before the NCAA tournament is even beginning. And that's a 3-week tournament.
I'd love a next year just for the Padres to not have to. Hey, you guys are going to go play in Siberia for the first game in Russia ever. It's going to be really cold. We're going to do it outdoors, and I would love it. Just a nice, normal like
the stadium will be made out of ice.
Yeah. Just a nice, normal, no fruit. Like, take some other teams to go do this and give us a little bit of a breather.
Antarctica. Joe's already been there
He's
and
been
thrown a
there.
pitch, so we got an advantage there
Yep.
if they do opening day in Antarctica for the Padres next year.
I'm all for growing the game internationally. I think it's a great idea. Obviously, the Padres are a great choice with Ha-Seong Kim on the squad. It's fantastic, but let this be the last one for a minute, for a while. We deserve, after 2 years of the WBC, and it's just a nice, normal 5-6 week spring training, like every other team's going to get, and just see what happens. Now, again, I'm not baking in any excuses for this. It's 2 games. It's a week of travel. You know, the WBC is a different bird entirely, and this will be fine. But I'd love next year just nice and normal, like it used to be, Benny.
All right, let's check traffic. When we come back, we've got results and more matchups in our first round of our 5th annual Tournament of Drops coming up after Kelly here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Just one problem. Northbound 5 near Mile of Cars Way, an accident blocking the fast lane, causing quite a bit of a backup. Westbound King Freeway clearing an accident right at the northbound 5 connector. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's start with the results. We had our first 4 matchups from the explicit region of our Tournament of Drops.
My favorite region.
We match up our favorite 32 sound clips from the last year into brackets, and eventually, after your votes, end up with the champion. All right, in our 1 versus 8 matchup in the explicit region yesterday, the 1 seed, Hey There, Delilah, going up against 8-seeded Cat Pervert. Our winner was...
Hey there, Delilah.
67.8% of the vote. The top seed moves on into the Sweet 16.
That was a blowout. Everyone got that one right.
All right, in our 4 versus 5 matchup, our 4 seed Orgasmic Revelation against our 5 seed Jesse Agler's Oh My Goodness, a close one. With 55.9% of the vote, the winner was Orgasmic Revelation.
You guys are on fire. You're on fire.
Takes out Jesse Agler in the first round. Orgasmic Revelation on to the Sweet 16.
I keep saying it because it's my favorite.
Every time
makes me laugh.
All right, moving down the bracket, our 6-3 matchup, the 3 seed, me going ooh, against Kelly Danick, secure their load of gravel with 69% of the vote.
Wow. That's nice.
Exactly. The winner was...
And someone didn't secure their load of gravel.
God, she's good.
Kel, that's
is-
a rising 6 seed. An upset.
That's
strong
a strong
six.
6.
Into the Sweet 16 goes Kelly. And then finally, in the 2-7 matchup, 2 Ben drops. I like it creamy versus I like squirt. With 61.2% of the vote, the winner was... Oh, no, I like it creamy. The 2 seed. You voted squirt.
I always do. Every time.
All right.
When put 2 feet to the fire, yes, I will vote squirt every time.
All right, set those aside for a few days. We'll come back to them when we get to the Sweet 16 round, but it's time to continue our first round matchups as we move down to the baseball bracket, led by our number 1 seed, none other than Goose Gossage at Fantasy Camp a couple of months ago.
Oh, man, so good.
You're a nerd, too.
I've never been more uncomfortable in my life in an interview.
Pointing at me.
My head was between my legs, like this, like head, like breathe, trying to breathe because I was going to pass out.
The 8th seed, our new best friend on the San Diego Padres, 20-year-old rookie.
Hi, this is Jackson Merrill.
Love it.
Just introducing himself. That's our first matchup, 1 seed versus 8 seed. We've got the 4 versus 5 matchup in the
Jackson,
baseball bracket. I know, it's tough.
It's tough.
It's a tough draw for Jackson in the first round.
He's a rookie.
Our 4 seed got a lot of play last year. We were hoping that they
about
would get
80 times, actually.
We were hoping they'd get their comeuppance. They never did.
They did in October. They always do.
They did. The Dodgers broadcasters is our 4 seed.
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the game.
When I went and pulled that drop, like I said, we played it at least 80 times in 2023. That was like
It was spring
day
training.
2.
It was spring training. They said it.
Was
in
it spring training?
Yes. Or
I mean,
maybe it was game 1.
I thought it
it
was
was
like
game
the
one.
first
I think it was
week
game
of
one.
games, and
It was game 1.
we were getting bodied in the early game, and they played later that night. And for them to have the stones to do that,
Now, you can vote however you want. I feel like the tournament is significance of drops, not necessarily the ones that make you happiest or
Right, yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. That's a
They're not
good
all
distinction.
great. This was a significant drop last year, so it's a 4 seed. It's going up against a much more fun drop, though. The 5 seed, our own Mud Grant.
Take a listen.
Phenomenal.
Take a listen.
Certainly could be an upset. We got a lot more play out of Cancel the Parade last year, though, than we did out of Mud.
Yeah, we played it more because, well, we
But
lost.
Mud is obviously, I think, more delightful. So we'll see how people vote on that one.
Don't sway their votes.
I'm not.
Don't
You can
sway
go either.
them.
I think.
Sway,
I
you
think
know.
there's a big argument to be made on either side of that one. That's why it's a 4 or 5 matchup.
The combo of Joe Davis and Oral Hershiser makes my baunch swell up every time I hear. Just
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the games.
Hey, remember when I saw Joe Davis on his tippy toes in the mirror, smoothing out his eyebrows before a game? I'll never forget it. I should have taken a picture. I think he might have been standing on a stool as well. I walked into that bathroom and he like this, Benny. Just getting all ready for the big game.
So the 3-6 matchup in the baseball bracket is another one of those where we have a more significant drop, maybe being the 3 seed, but it's kind of on the fall, whereas the 6 seed is on the rise. The 3 seed, Bob Melvin last year. Yeah, Juan.
Juan.
What
What they say? Who impressed you
most,
the most today?
Juan.
we had some fun with
We
that
played
one.
that one a
Yeah,
ton.
just kind of the inherent slight awkwardness of Bob Melvin.
Juan.
That should have been a 1 seed. It's actually the 3 seed in the baseball bracket.
A 1 seed. Oh, it's brilliant.
It's going up against a newer drop,
Juan.
the 6 seed from
What up,
spring
crew?
training.
What
Manny
up,
Machado.
crew?
What up,
Yes.
crew? Walking by
Machado,
the table.
interrupting, I think it was Jake Cronenworth's
Yeah.
interview.
What up, crew?
Took the mic and said, "What up?"
Love that. So that's our 3-6 matchup. And then at the bottom of the baseball bracket, our 2 seed, a truism in baseball, the most obvious comment ever. John Smoltz, right?
I just felt the way that the roster is built, they would have to outscore their opponents to win.
The funny part is he wasn't wrong.
You
That
never-
do.
I mean, you have to
That's-
outscore your opponents
You
to
do
win.
every game. Like
It's 100% true.
yeah, it was
Whether
it was,
it's 1-0 or 10-9, you always have to outscore your opponents to win.
It was never inaccurate, just funny. Like isn't that how all teams in every sport are built, John?
You know, Mike, if the ball goes over the fence, they call that a home run.
Home run.
It's how the Raiders
Factually
roster
correct.
was built. It's how the
Chargers,
Blackhawks
the
roster
Blackhawks,
is built. It's
The Halifax
you have
Thunderbirds.
to-
It doesn't matter.
The way the roster is constructed, you do have to outscore your opponents to win.
It's so good. I loved that quote so much. Thank you, Captain Obvious.
And then going up against the number 7 seed.
I don't remember that.
ABBA, Fernando.
I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
There's, I think we saved it and got some play with it right around April
Okay.
last year when Fernando was coming back.
All right, it's a full year of drops. So those are the 4 matchups. You can go now to our Twitter page, our X page, and start voting for the next 24 hours on those 4 matchups, and we will have half of the Sweet 16, 8 of the Sweet 16 set by this time tomorrow, and then we'll move over to the right side of our bracket, the anatomy and wild card regions of our tournament of drops.
Always a fun one. Always a fun one.
So Paulie pointed out that this morning, this was 4 years ago, this was like the last day before we left the studio.
Yeah.
For months and months and months in the Corona Cave. And the trip to the Corona Cave was the inspiration for the Tournament of Drops.
Yeah.
Mostly because we needed to fill time. There was no sports. What are we going to do with 4 hours every morning broadcasting from a guest house with nothing on to talk about? Baseball season canceled, the NCAA tournament canceled, and we had at that point 2 years worth of sound bites that Paulie had been collecting during our show's history. So we had the idea, let's put them all together. So I thought maybe on this anniversary, we can go back and remember the first field of 64 that year, since we had 2 years worth of drops. We had a full bracket of 64 drops. So if you remember, if you're newer to the show and don't remember, this is what it sounded like.
You're going to hear some friends from the past.
For the very first inaugural Tournament of Drops.
Oh, this is great.
Here was the field of 64.
Bye-bye.
Philip Rivers is a loser.
Let's go.
Huh?
Yeah, I'd give a rat's about Twitter.
Who farted? I'd much rather smoke weed.
Louder!
Oh, my goodness.
Love it!
We're not going anywhere. Club Pilates.
F you.
I broke my back.
Good shoes.
This is a knife.
Go, Bob. It's just kid stuff.
Money, cash, hose.
Mind if I move closer?
Thank you, Bobby Flay.
Blame it on the Henry.
And let's get started.
Occam's razor.
You.
No joy in my life. Auto run rates the NFC East a little bit. Give it to Daddy.
Oh, it's been a great day today. Can't wait for more.
Bang, bang, you.
Fortnite.
I don't say it twice, dude.
Dang it.
Spanking himself.
Bush, 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 bush.
What's the problem?
First and foremost,
Pooter Research. Who the fudge is Jace Tingler?
come on, Duke.
Wingding, whatever the his name is.
What a night.
Carnal relations. The money shot.
Let's go, Seal!
It's just so big and bushy and black, and
Here's a concept. Bite me.
she is, mates.
Defense.
These nuts.
Oh, I know him.
Peoria. Some of us, like myself, have been smoking weed since 12.
A little bit of an eater.
Oh, God.
I mean,
Wow.
we still use a ton
That
of
is a
those.
trip down memory lane. Yeah, you hear a lot of those. I
Now,
miss a lot of those.
That was the very first Tournament of Drops. It came down to, let's see, I have the drops here. I still have the bracket. So we had a 1 seed, which was Ben, and I can play that for you right now.
Who the fudge
Good
is
one.
Jace Tingler?
So good.
And he was going up against an 8 seed in Bo Woods.
It had a bleep out. I mean, I think when we seeded that, I figured with a bleep, there's no way that's going to be a
Sweet
winner.
little-
And it
sweet
just
little
kept
voice.
winning
Now,
all the way through the bracket.
I even went back and really pulled something from the archives. When we dubbed Bo, the 8 seed, the winner of the 2020 first annual Tournament of Drops, we put together a little bit of audio. How old was Bo in, it was early
4
April
years ago
2020?
today, so he's
he would have been 2 years old.
2.
He had a victory speech.
Thank you. It feels good to be tapping. Say, Ben,
Sorry, Ben.
a loser. I'm a winner. Suck it, Ben.
Suck it, Ben. You're a
Suck
loser.
it, Ben.
You're a
winner.
loser.
Suck
I'm
it,
a
Ben.
winner. I can't even. I can't. It's so hard for me.
Younger
to
than Taylor is
remember.
now.
Dude. Oh my god, my
It
heart
feels good to be tapping.
to be a champion.
Feels
A
good to be a
loser.
Yeah, you're a loser. I'm
I'm a winner.
I'm a winner.
Second, Ben.
You should hear him talk. You should hear him talk now. I mean, it's just like he's like a little human, dude.
Second,
You were
Ben.
teaching him to try to throw a splitter last night.
Yeah. He wanted to know how to throw a splitter. I said, I have no idea.
Amazing.
That's incredible. Breaks my heart.
Bo
also.
dunking on Ben so hard. Yeah, it runs in the family.
Second, Ben.
Suck it, Ben.
So good.
I'm gonna lose it.
I thought you just liked that.
All right, we'll come back. The uncovered audio and video of Sam Levitt.
This is gold.
When we return
Pure
on
gold.
97.3 The Fan.
Halfway home on a Tuesday, Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. So fun, tournament time when we have our tournament of drops. I was thinking, maybe one year, in like 30 years, we could do
an all-time
bracket. One seed bracket.
Champions bracket.
I'll be in here.
Bracket.
Ben and I will be 78 years old, still doing the tournament of drops. 78.
The tournament of champions.
If I'm here at 78 years old, put me out to pass.
All right, how about this?
It doesn't matter how old you are. It's how old you feel.
I feel 78 years old right now.
If you can stay young at heart and young in mind, you can continue to do this job.
This is the 5th annual Tournament of Drops that we are currently in. When we get to 8 years, we could do the final 4 of every bracket make it a field of 32 for like the champions.
Yeah.
The legacy bracket.
I like that. That's only 3 years away. You can make it 3 more years, right?
We'll see. It's each day is a gift.
Do
That's
the show
how
with
I
some
feel.
vigor here, Woods.
Let's go. I'm pretty vigorous.
The polls are up on our Twitter account. You can start voting right away. Already people have. You can you'll see the results as you add your votes to the tally, as it were, and we'll reveal more results tomorrow morning. And let's go back. So tomorrow we'll also relive the 2021 Tournament of Drops field, the bracket.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, you got it.
It's fine. All right, so did you see what I sent it to you because you had to? What Sam Levitt posted. Sammy's going to be with us coming up at the bottom of the hour as he checks in one of his last days here at spring training, final week in Peoria, Arizona. And we've only known Sammy for a couple of years, so we still have some layers to peel back on Sam Levitt.
I do feel that we have helped Sammy come out of his shell a little bit more, and I feel like. The fact that he posted this, the fact that we ran into Sam Levitt Jr. out at spring training and he did the invitation, and then we got Sam to interview him, and Sam really took that well. Not every sports media guy is going to take that well. Some of them are going to get very, very butthurt, and I've got 4 or 5 in mind right now. I think you guys all know who I'm talking about. Sammy took it with great grace, Ben, and then he posted this yesterday, and it laid me out.
Yeah, so I saw him. I saw he was standing in like a pond.
Of course he was.
Somewhere.
That's
and I was
what
going,
you
wait,
do.
Sammy's wearing a tie and some galoshes, and what is he doing? And he tweets this out. A little-known fact. For about 4 months in college, I was a TV news reporter. What? I present to you my TV news reel. Enjoy. I have no idea why I was standing in water so often for my stories. So here is Sam Levitt, TV reporter. WLNS.
One big problem for local farmers is standing water, especially in low-lying areas of the fields. And in some cases, you could be knee-deep in a pond just like this one. After bucket into the Red Cedar River. About protecting your plants any way you can. If you have something a little bit bigger, you can even use this and put it right over it. And if you have a small plant, you can even take a cup from a convenience store and put it right over that too. State police are setting up safety belt enforcement zones, like here in Meridian Township on the intersection of Marsh Road and Central Park Drive. So if you're not buckled up, if you're a college or high school student, getting a job this summer is going to take a lot more than just splashing around in the kiddie pool.
Sammy, I was stunned. He never mentioned that he had done TV reporting, non-sports reporting.
How did he get that gig in college? He went to Northwestern, yeah? So was that all in the Chicagoland area? Or was it like during the summer?
So it's
college news?
It looks like more of a real, let's see, WLNS TV. Is Channel 6. It is the CBS affiliate in Lansing, Michigan.
Michigan?
Yeah, so Sammy apparently worked in Lansing, Michigan as a television reporter.
They hire a lot of college kids.
I mean, smaller markets, obviously, it's kind of a stepping stone, a first step into the broadcasting world. But I was floored because, honestly, I thought Sammy, that's a really good, solid reel for a college television reporter that he put together.
I mean, I'm not surprised at all because it's Sam Levitt and he's a true pro. That being said, him getting his hands and feet dirty, the click of that's what news is always made.
A lot of
me
farming
laugh.
stories.
Yeah, farming stories.
Protecting your plants from the frost was that one where he was covering plants with a bucket and a convenience store cup. He was standing out in a big pond of low-lying water in a field. He was in a like a kiddie pool, a splash pad zone for one of his stories. But he looks like one of those reporters who's willing to get his hands dirty and his feet wet in pursuit of the story. So good job by Sam Levitt.
I love that aspect of local news when they do like and you better click it or ticket, and then it pans in on the and you buckle your seatbelt. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
like we knew what you were talking about.
We go through a lot of
hammered, get nailed.
Yeah,
exactly. We go through a lot of like training, and that's called the NAT audio. Yeah, natural audio. You want to use those like the clicks, and you make sure you get the mic up so you can get that sound that really adds to the richness of your story. Because if it's just the reporter just talking the whole time, viewers tend to get bored with that and tune it out. So you need to intersperse it with some of the...
if you're not buckled up, if you're a college...
It sounded like somebody just hit a home run, is what it sounded. If you're not hitting bombs,
no, there's a
crap.
seatbelt clicking in.
So if you're not buckled up...
Yeah, that's somebody hit a bomb. That's what it sounds like.
Like the first half of it, and then the second was the click into it. But yeah, that's good NAT audio. We call that in TV.
Great NAT audio from Sam Levitt. He's fantastic. And has there ever been, though, like a news director that said to his crew, let's do it differently. We're going to do it differently. Because you're going to see that on Channel 10. You're going to see it on Fox 5. You're going to see it on Channel 8.
So it's always evolving. Like when I started...
Is it, though? Because I feel like I've seen that. Okay, that was how many years ago?
Well,
10,
some people don't
15?
evolve. Some people don't evolve. When I started, reporters were always holding their handheld microphones. Now they say, hey, clip on one of the little lav mics so you can use your hands and demonstrate things. There used to be the old walk to nowhere that they called it, where you do a stand-up, but you'd be just strolling down the street, and you're not going anywhere. You're just talking while you walk, walk and talk.
In a straight line.
But there's really no point to that, and I think they said, why don't we stop doing that? At least, I mean, not everyone has stopped doing that, but just randomly walking while you talk, even though you're clearly not going anywhere. You just keep doing the same take and then backing up 6 steps and then doing it again and again until you get it right.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Is there a reason? Is there a purpose behind your motions when you're on camera?
Is it just to change up the view, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's just people just thought, well, that's how TV people do it.
That's what they do.
They do the walk and talk just while they're just kind of...
What really happened on that? Yeah.
Just as they move around. But there's really no purpose to it. Unless you're like doing a live shot and you're like, hey, you're on a scene and it's a fire and hey, I walk over here and look, this is burning.
Yeah.
You're pointing things out. That's fine. That's good. That's active. That's an active live shot. But if there's nothing to really point out, if you're just, it's like a dark night, there's no reason to be walking around to nowhere.
Now you've evolved into power stance, feet spread wide. Where do you put your hands in the power stance?
So I kind of hold my hands together in front of
your dong?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Yeah, a
covering
little bit like that.
Covering the bulge?
Yeah, it's a little, I'm tall, so it's a little higher for me. It's really my belt level.
Your midriff?
Is where I kind of hold my, this is generally how I stand now on television. I've moved
you clasp your fingers together like that?
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of. I don't completely like clasp the hands together. So I just kind of grab a couple of the fingers to make it look a little more just natural.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Who doesn't stand clasping their fingers together when talking?
Doesn't everyone?
I would do mine with my hands in my pockets.
Well, see, that looks weird too. Man, you could do hands on your hips.
That's sexy.
Kind of.
The Padres take on the Diamondbacks today.
I mean,
there's one girl, I don't want to call her out by name, but she's on a station here, and the hands are moving every different way, and it's going
they can't be too still, they can't be too active.
Yeah, there's an art form to it.
It's a fine line between distracting, but being too still can also be distracting. You have no idea how much I've overthought this over the years.
Oh, it'd make me sick. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. If I had, you got to walk, you got to stand up tomorrow, I'll be like,
How do you stand? Where do you put your hands? What are you going to do with them while you're on camera? It's a constant problem for TV people.
Yeah, it would kill me. I thought you had a great tweet the other night when you were talking about the Oscars. By the way, it didn't get any attention. You only got 11 likes. One of them was mine.
Sad.
This killed me. Did you see his tweet? He said, stay tuned right after the Oscars, give or take 4 hours, for 10 news. HHJ trial attorney, Sports Extra at 11:30 p.m. And he, talks about the teams he's going to talk about. Then he says, and for you Oscars fashionistas, I'll be wearing Joseph A. Bank, the Men's Warehouse, and Costco. It laid me out. I'm like, how does this only have 11 likes? And I wrote under it, you're going to like the way you look. I guarantee
I mean,
it.
they do all those red carpet interviews.
Yeah.
And I'm
Who are you
Gucci,
wearing? I'm wearing Fendi, Tom
Prada,
Ford. Yeah, right.
It's like, well, I'll just be honest. I got my Jose Bank shirt. I've got my Men's Warehouse jacket and my Costco pants tonight. So that was the fashion that I was rocking on television on Sunday night.
I don't think Joseph A. Bank is a sponsor.
Are they not?
I don't think so.
Of our show?
Of our
I don't think
station.
so.
I don't believe they are.
I don't think the Men's Warehouse is either.
They would advertise like, 3 suits for $300 or something like that. And my buddy, when
great for TV.
Probably listening right now, when he first got out of college and was student teaching, he goes, I need some suits.
Got to get some suits.
So he goes, you want to go with me? I'm like, no, why not? I got nothing going on. He's my roommate at the time. So we drive down to Joseph A. Bank. I'm pretty sure he walked out. He was expecting to get the 3 suits for $399 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He walked out. I think it was about $3,000.
Oh, upsell them. No, I use that deal all the time when I was buying. I had a budget wardrobe, but it was pretty small. So I would go and I'd walk out. Buy one suit for like $400, get 3 suits free. It's what I would do.
He's worse than Woods. Like just whatever it costs.
Whatever
like they were. He was like, where do I get that deal that I saw on the commercial? Like, oh, well, you got to get this, and this. He ended up paying like $2,500 or $3,000.
Oh my God, dude. And by the way, for Joseph A. Bank suits at the end of the day.
So that's the thing with television. Now, some of those places, you're not going to have the finest quality of material in terms of like feel, but you don't really see that on television.
You can tell.
You can't always tell on TV. You really can't. How quality the material is. It's really about the patterns and things like that. Good callback on who was the president of the Men's Warehouse? George Zimmer.
George Zimmer. You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it.
I guarantee
killed me. Absolutely killed me.
We're going to get you in some nice suits here, Ben.
Yeah, get you a nice suit.
Don't really need nice suits
He's not going to do it now.
I promise, you really can't tell whether it's the finest silk or it's a little more,
You can.
You really can't on TV.
Now we can.
You can tell, but you deserve better.
Yeah.
You can tell how it feels.
More. Treat yourself.
I'm going to send you my guy.
I don't need. I really don't want to overspend on clothes.
Right.
It's not where I want to
invest in yourself.
It's not investing in myself.
Yeah, it is.
I want to save so I can invest in
is.
other things that I care about more than clothes.
Strip clubs. Right. I get it.
All right, let's take a time out. The Tier 1 tour continues. We are still in the American League West. We've got the Seattle Mariners, a team Padres faced yesterday. They're mates at the Peoria Sports Complex, and an interesting team, one that didn't exactly light up the offseason this year.
Didn't light the world on fire?
No. I thought maybe they'd be on a team on the rise. Now
disappointed last year.
Now you're kind of wondering, where did the Mariners stand going into 2024? Our Tier 1 tour continuing. Coming up next, we'll check traffic. Be back with more Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. All right, fired up the bus. We continue our Tier 1 tour, taking a look at every baseball team. We're about, 23 teams into this run of 29 teams in Major League Baseball, counting down to opening day. Going to hit every single camp before we're done. And today's camp, the Seattle Mariners, coming off a season in which they went a little bit better than I expected, 88 and 74. Wasn't a bad year, but they ended up in third place in the American League West, and they missed the playoffs.
They missed it.
With that 88 and 74 record. Would have been plenty to get into the National League playoffs, where 84 wins got you to the World Series last year, but 88 left on the outside, and it was a very disappointing finish. They had a 90% chance of making the playoffs in early September when they were in first place in the AL West, but ended up missing the postseason for the 22nd time in 23 seasons. And it was a year that Mariners fans thought, all right, we're kind of going for it a little bit more than we are at least accustomed to there in the Pacific Northwest.
They missed it last year. They made it the year before, breaking the streak. They got through, the first round and then lost to Houston. Is that right?
In 2022.
2022, yeah.
And they got eliminated in the wild card round in 2022.
Yeah, what a series that was, too. That extra inning game. Yeah. Everyone kind of thought, all right, this is definitely a team on the rise, for sure.
Yeah, and they still obviously,
maybe.
Julio Rodriguez is back. Cal Raleigh is a young stud player that they got a good season out of last year. They did acquire Mitch Haniger back from the San Francisco Giants.
And Jorge Polanco.
In this offseason. And they signed Mitch Garver as a free agent to put into their lineup as their designated hitter, likely. So there's no reason why the Mariners couldn't be a postseason contender again this season.
Well, where they make their money, guys, is with their filthy-ass starting rotation. Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Bryce Miller, and Brian Wu is their starting five.
That's a good one to find.
Really
deep.
Really
deep.
Really good. Really good. They've got Andres Munoz, which came from here as their closer. He is beyond filthy. I think Matt Brash is hurt, Ben. He's been nicked up the last couple of years, but if he gets healthy, he's back in their bullpen. They added Ryan Stanek as well, like a couple of days ago. They have a good bullpen, too. I like Seattle. For them, it's offense. Are they going to be able to score enough runs? Their pitchers are going to keep them in games. I think the addition of a Polanco helps. I think the addition of a Haniger, maybe renewed, refreshed up there, I think he helps. Their projections are really good. I mean, everybody in their starting lineup, Ben, projected to hit double figures in home runs, except for Josh Rojas at third base. But other than that, man, I mean, they look like they could be a pretty formidable team.
There's a lot to like about this team, but it's also hard to see them finishing anywhere but third.
I know. Well, no, see, I think, again, I still think the Rangers take a step
drop
back.
off.
I do. I don't know
you
why.
are competing against both the World Series champions and the team that has undisputedly been the best team in baseball for the last few years. And they're both in your division, and they're different teams.
And they both got, the Astros got better. They got better. I think they improved their team this offseason. So I think that they can. I think that they can get into second place and make
overtake
the
the Rangers.
I do. I just think that Texas. It's so dependent on Corey Seager, his health. Jacob deGrom, when's he coming back? I mean, they do have a couple of good arms at the top of their rotation, but I don't know, man. The hangover thing to me is a real deal. And, like we've seen with Bruce Bochy's teams before, Ben, that's kind of what happens. That's exactly what's happening.
They've definitely got some concern in terms of some lower OBP guys. They, as you said, they got power, but will there be guys on base for that power to score the runs that they need to match up with that pitching staff?
They need Julio Rodriguez to take the next step. He's their, face of the franchise. He needs to go into the stratosphere.
Still just 23 years old.
100%. But
younger than Fernando Tatis Jr.
This is a good year for him to do that. And they're a good team. I mean, they're a really good team. And that starting rotation is the envy of a lot of teams. I mean, all righties. Not going to throw many lefties at you at all. But these guys get the job done.
I wonder how concerning that is, like if you got to the playoffs, that you could be exposed by a left-handed, loaded left-handed lineup is going to give the Mariners trouble because they don't have any left-handed starters.
Talking to a buddy last year, big Mariners fan, he was so mad at the front office for not being buyers at the trade deadline last year. They had
some
players. Really good pitching. They had a couple of huge players in their lineup led by J-Rod. And they're like, guys, we're right there in the hunt. We've got this pitching staff. It's one of the best in baseball. Make a move.
Well, then
Make a move.
Then the season ended. And what was the quote? I cannot remember the quote that just pissed everybody off. It was from their general manager or owner. I think it was their GM. He said something, and people were like, oh, really? Okay. I cannot remember for the life of me, but we did it on Don't Do This. And they made some moves in the offseason. They did improve their club.
It's so hard.
Pulling it up right now.
It's so hard to evaluate because the Mariners pretty clearly had a better season than the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah,
won 4 more games. Just seemed like they were top to bottom a better team, and they won more games. But you can't control what league you play in. You can't control who the opponents are and where those playoff lines are set. Obviously, they trade 88 wins for 84 wins in a trip to the World Series.
Sure.
But you don't know how it's going to play out. This year maybe they get in with 85 wins and make a run to the World Series.
Projected 86.5.
It's one of those things you can't control. 86.5, great. Padres would probably sign up for that right now. Might not be enough to make the playoffs.
Yep.
It wasn't enough for the Mariners last year. They won 88. They didn't get in.
So I'm looking up that quote here.
What was that quote?
So Cal Raleigh was the one that criticized the organization after the season ended.
Yep.
He said, we got to commit to winning. We have
Yes.
to commit to going and getting these players. You see other teams going out and getting big-time pitchers, getting big-time hitters. We have to do that to keep up. And the GM, Jerry DiPoto, followed it up with, I'm trying to find his exact quote.
He said something, and Tony
but
has
it was
in the
about
chat.
54%.
Win 1 out of 3 games to be successful. Yeah, 54% is what we're shooting for every year, and that kind of stuff goes through the clubhouse. And again, Jerry,
here it is. If you go back and look in a decade,
Yeah.
those teams that win 54% of the time always end up in the postseason, and they more often than not wind up in the World Series. So there's your bigger picture process. Nobody wants to hear the goal this year is we're going to win 54% of the time, because one year you're going to win 60%, another year you're going to win 50%, and over that time the mindset gets you there.
it's a weird,
It's
it's
really
it's a
bizarre.
weird thing to tell your fan base. It's very
But
weird.
it's not really a weird thing to pursue, though.
Oh, absolutely.
As a baseball team.
100%. But that stays in house.
Exactly.
I
mean, Padres fans, if you could sign up for consistently a team that wins 54% of the time, you'd probably take that.
I'm the GM. Ask me the question.
Yeah. So what's the philosophy for your, organization to be a contender every year?
We want to win a World Series. We want to win it for the city of Seattle so badly. They deserve one. And really what we want is we want consistent postseason runs. We got to make sure we get into the postseason, and that way we have a shot every year. We need to be active at the deadline. The deals have to make sense for us, though. And trust me, guys, we are going to be in on big trades. We are going to be in on big free agents when it makes sense for the Seattle Mariners. Any more questions?
No, you think you
I'm
satisfied
certainly not
my
going
curiosity.
to pull my calculator out and be like, you see, if we do win 1 out of 3 games, we're going to be. I mean, nobody wants to hear that. They want to hear we're actively pursuing a World Series. This is not hard,
especially after you won more than 54% of your
Right.
games last year and missed the postseason.
Yeah,
because that sometimes happens. It's true. It's true, but fans don't want to hear that.
They do not
They want
wanna
to hear
hear
how
that.
can you win 3 more games to make sure you're in the playoffs the next season.
Yeah.
All right, Tier 1 tour continuing tomorrow. I think we're going to wrap up Angels, maybe. Got to wrap up the AL West, and then we move on to the NL West for the rest of the way and finish up with all of our 29 teams this season in Major League Baseball. All right, news reporter Sam Levitt from Lansing, Michigan is going to join us when we come back. He's currently in Peoria, Arizona, though, covering the Padres as he's been for the past month plus now. Sammy, in his last stretch of games, talk about yesterday's performance against the Mariners and what he's seeing this morning from Peoria. Coming up next with Ben Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Don't go away. Noticing a big difference in Jake Cronenworth this spring, and it may not reflect necessarily. I mean, he has one home run, he has one double. It's not necessarily in power or even average. He's hitting .211 this spring. You know what the big difference is for Jake? He's walked 9 times this spring.
Yeah.
And it's in 29 plate appearances. I looked it up. Last season, Jake walked 47 times in 522 plate appearances. That was just under 9% of the time. He's walking 31% of the time this spring. That probably won't hold in the regular season, but he's clearly being more selective at the plate. He's swinging less often. He even commented on when he went and did some of his reflection. He said, I started swinging way too much last year. Remember Jake, like the first couple of seasons, wouldn't swing at a first pitch no matter what. He was like, it was like locked in. He was taking a couple of pitches. He swung more last year. It wasn't that effective for him. I wonder if that's something we'll see more from Jake Cronenworth. And curious to get Sammy's thoughts on Jake as well. He's going to join us here after our check of traffic.
Yeah, I saw our friend Tommy at Too Much Morton's tweeted that yesterday. From 20 to 22, swing percent was 41.9%. In 23 last year, 47.3. That's a big jump, as Tommy says. And, being a little bit more selective. The other thing I'm hearing out of camp a lot about Crony is his defense has been spectacular this year, which is a huge help down at first base.
Yeah,
so.
he's pretty much locked, and he's going to have to bat second or third, being like the left-handed option. Unless Jackson Merrill just kills it,
just
and they move
gangbusters.
him like Tatis up. You know, Tatis started for like a few days. He was like the 6-7 hitter, and like, okay, now we're putting him up. If Jackson does that, great. But if not, Jake's going to have to be the guy up there at the top of the order. And, you know, if he's not hitting 25 home runs, which he's probably not, walking's a very valuable thing when you're surrounded by guys like Tatis and Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts. And if he can just up that walk rate, he becomes a more valuable player this season.
No question.
We'll talk about this. Sammy Levitt standing by right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Still a handful of trouble spots here. Vehicle spun out, went off the roadway westbound 78 at Woodland Parkway. Also on the coastline, southbound 5 before Cannon. There's a collision blocking the HOV lane. Now, getting conflicting locations for this crash along westbound 54. CHP saying right before Woodman, 2 left lanes blocked with emergency crews, or is it right before the 805, 2 left lanes blocked? So, yeah, if you're traveling westbound 54, you're liable to run into quite a bit of slowing. And a couple of surface street accidents, 28th Street and K Street. This involves a school bus and a motorcycle. And J Street and 19th Street. A vehicle hit a bicyclist. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's go live to our man on the scene in Lansing, Michigan. He's standing in a pool
pond.
of water on a
We've got
farm.
a pool, we got a pond.
Our Sam Levitt is with us here on Channel 6. Sam, good morning. What's the scene out there in Lansing?
Pond would be good for you.
Well, currently I'm looking at the Players parking lot here in Peoria, Arizona. There's a few fans waiting for autographs, whether they get autographs today or not. We'll see what happens with that as the afternoon rolls along. But I can say the vibe here is great. The sun is shining. And Ben, Woodsy, back to you in the studio.
How you know that I'm on TV,
Nailed
right?
it,
How
by
did
the
this never come up in the 2 years that we've known you? That you were a TV reporter for a stint. And by the way,
a good one.
From what I saw, a darn good one for a college TV reporter in a smaller market. I thought your reel was outstanding.
Well,
Sam.
I've known you for 5 years. I only recently found out this year that you're into S&M and stuff like that. So, I mean, sometimes people take a while to shed their skin a little bit.
Oh my God!
Right.
Yeah, that was a WLNS. That was part of my quote-unquote journalism residency in college. Now, the really cool part about that program at Northwestern was that you really were a reporter. Like I'd go, and Ben, you'll know what I'm talking about. I really went into the meeting every morning where we sort of divvied out the stories, and they would give me a story. And sometimes that was an A block story. Sometimes that was a D block story.
So the A block Woods is the first segment of the show. Like the B block would be the second.
Yeah.
Just want to
C
explain.
would be the third.
The morning meeting is the meeting they have early in the day to assign stories to reporters.
And if you get the D block, you're going out and talking about a giant cookie that was made. The world record-breaking cookie that they're doing.
I don't know, Lansing, that might
Right.
be an A-block story.
Now,
actually.
I'll admit, I liked all the different kinds of stories. Like I did story. There's a story on that reel about them, I guess, putting fish into a river, or populating maybe is the better word, fish into a river locally in mid-Michigan. But I did breaking news. I did car accidents. I did this whole story, a couple of stories about this fire department situation in a township in Michigan that was really interesting. So they treated you like a real reporter. The nice thing was they gave you a photographer because they wouldn't let the quote-unquote residents drive the company vehicles. So you actually got somebody to drive you and film everything, which quite honestly is part of the reason I had so many creative stand-ups in my stories. A, because I'd get a little creative help, but B, because I had somebody who could run the camera for me as I walked around or stood in the water. But I'll tell you, in all seriousness, a lot of the things I learned during that time, I think, when it comes especially to some of my social media stuff, really help, like the see it, say it kind of thing, adding in natural sound to different stories, making sure you have kind of those natural sound pops. So it was valuable. I enjoyed it.
I think I would
for a few months.
I think I would sign up to just do the D block stories so that I could make fun of everyone. I think I would be really good at it. Actually, don't put me on the A, don't put me on the B, not even the C. Give me the D. I'll be the D block guy.
It's tough to rise out of the smaller markets, though, if you're just a D block story.
I don't want to.
They're looking at the A block reporters.
I don't want to rise out of here. Just make me the D block guy for Channel 10. I think it'd be phenomenal content.
Well, Sammy, you're clearly an A block reporter now in the San Diego Padres, and I had a good day yesterday. I don't know that it created any more separation for those final roster decisions, and I've got to imagine that they're coming today, that Mike Schilt is having the final conversations, because you need to know when you're waking up on Wednesday if you're going back to your Airbnb or if you're getting on a plane for Korea tomorrow.
Yeah, you make a great point. I don't think there's a way that you would leave that decision to tomorrow when you've got a flight in the evening across the world. And that's the impression I got inside the clubhouse today. I don't know that for sure, but you could kind of feel it today. I don't want to say a certain tension. I don't want to say even like the word uneasiness, but being in the clubhouse today, you got a sense that it was decision time, and there was the guys are kind of wondering what might happen. So I would assume at some point today those decisions are going to come down. At the very least, who is getting on the plane to Korea? Because the Padres don't have to obviously decide what their active roster is right now. I do wonder a little bit, and this is something that I may ask Mike Schilt in about an hour or so, do you want guys to understand exactly where they are heading on that plane to Korea? Or even, if you're on the 31-man group to Korea, do you really want to be on that plane but still not knowing if you're actually on the roster? I'm not sure exactly what they are saying to guys, but Ben, I'm with you. I think those decisions will, at least who's getting on the plane, who's not, will come down today. And I thought in the clubhouse today, you could kind of sense there is some stuff going on. So we'll see. It's that time, and it happens every year for the Padres. It's happening earlier this year because of the Korea trip, and obviously a lot of spots make some pretty big decisions on.
If there's a red tag in your locker, it means the manager wants to see you because you just died and went to the minor leagues.
That's exactly right. Hope I don't get red tagged today. Are you on suit? Like, are there suitcase? Like, you could probably sniff around the club. They're leaving after the game, yeah?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
But they have to know. So when they
know.
show up tomorrow, are they showing up with a giant suitcase, or are they just got their normal duffel bag and they're going back to the Airbnb? I think that's the key. We were just talking about Jake Cronenworth, and I want to know what you've seen, Sam. He's certainly he's more selective. He's walking more. Do you get the sense that that's like part of the game plan for Jake this season?
Yeah, I do. I think being more patient at the plate is part of the game plan. I also think, and you mentioned it before you went to traffic, his defense has been really good. Like, it stood out in a major way. There have been a number of plays during these Cactus League games, quite frankly, on the backfields as well. I don't know without seeing him in regular season games if I can definitively say, hey, his defense has taken even a step up from where it was last year. And he was solid at first base last year. And considering he was playing, sort of a brand new position, even though he had played there a little bit, I've been really impressed with the defense. But look, offensively, you talked about the swing percentage. It's jumping up last season. I think for Jake, what you're looking for, quality at bats, right? Now he's in an interesting spot because he's playing really a power position at first base. And he's also, if you look into yesterday's lineup, batting third, right? Now we'll see what the lineup looks like against the Dodgers, but I think pretty good chance it's going to be 3 or 2 or something like that. So it's a spot where potentially you're being looked at to drive and run. So I do think how Jake balances trying to cut down that swing percentage, trying to be a little bit more patient, but also be a run producer is going to be sort of a fascinating combination and scenario as the season gets going. But we know Jake's made adjustments. We know obviously he did a lot of inward reflecting during the off season, and look, you hope the walk numbers and seemingly at least at spring training a little bit more patience at the plate means good things for him as the regular season gets rolling, no doubt.
Talking to our pal Sammy Levitt here on Ben and Woods this morning, and we talked a little bit earlier about yesterday and the results, and Jeremiah Estrada continues to impress. He's been fantastic. 7 1/3 scoreless this spring. It looks like the back end of the bullpen is rounding into form, which is exactly what you want.
Yep.
Wandy Peralta and Robert Suarez. You feel pretty good, man, throwing those guys out in the 8th and 9th and some iteration of that. But there's still some guys on the fringes. As you look at it, Sammy, who's on cardiac watch today? Whose heart rate is really up as far as pitchers and bullpen guys?
I put Estrada right in there because he's been so good. And because the Padres, if they wanted to, could slot him in somewhere, right? I mean, the bullpen is crowded, but if they look at a guy in Estrada and say, the stuff is good, the results have been good, and we want you here, well, then it becomes a question of who is potentially the odd man out, unless there's a situation where Yuki Matsui is not going to pitch in the 2 games in Korea, which we don't know yet. It's trending in the direction where he would be available, but let's assume that Matsui's ready to go, and let's assume that Usako is on this roster. Well, where then exactly is Estrada going to fit in, and what's a pretty crowded bullpen? I think he obviously is one guy who is probably, sitting on pins and needles today. I think anybody involved in the infield, outfield conversation is right in there, right? I mean, even somebody like, let's say, Graham Pauley, right, who, I said yesterday I thought was trending in that direction of being on this team over the last week or so. But certainly he's somebody who is, I'm sure, waiting on a decision today. People like Tyler Wade, people like Brett Sullivan, people like Eggy Rosario, anybody left, because it's been that wide open and because guys have played well. I mean, my goodness, Azokar, the home run yesterday, Rosario, the home run yesterday. They have not made these very easy decisions by the way guys have played, and that's a good thing, right? I mean, that's a very, very good thing that guys have come in, and this is something I talked with Mike Schultz about yesterday, that guys have come in, and whether it's been guys through the system or free agents they signed to minor league deals, guys have come in ready to play, and they've played well. And it does say something about the quality of this camp and the quality of the competition. But, hey, Woodsy, if you're any of those guys today, I think you are, yes, very much a little nervous, maybe a little antsy about what's going to happen here. But I guess the good news is that there are going to be some celebratory conversations, again, at least about who's going to Korea. I do think it's worth asking at some point whether those conversations today are about active roster or not, but at least with who's getting on the plane, yeah. Certainly some guys that will be happy, and I assume some guys that won't.
Talking to spring training, Sam Levitt with us here on Ben and Woods, and there's a moment I wanted to ask you about. I didn't see it, but I read about it in yesterday's game.
Yeah.
Ha-Sung Kim fouling off 8 straight pitches before singling, and it's hard to say. How could Ha-Sung Kim be under the radar? I mean, they're going to Korea. He's one of the most talked about star players, yet he's having a monster spring this year. I mean, he's been monstrous, and I don't feel like anyone's even talking about him that much. What was that moment like? That's hard to do, to foul off 8 straight pitches and then single.
Yeah, it was a really impressive plate appearance, and I think it continues to speak as to what the ceiling possibly is for Ha-Sung Kim coming off last year. The performance, like you said, Ben, in the Cactus League games has been really, really good, which at this point with Ha-Sung should be no surprise. There's the added element of going to Korea. He talked about it in the clubhouse earlier today. He's hoping to show guys around and maybe take them to some spots to eat, Korean barbecue, some seafood places. So it seems like he is really looking forward to heading back to Korea, and obviously is a big deal for him. So that's just a sort of an added twist to getting his season started. But to your point about the play on the field, I mean, you know, you look at him, he looks bigger, he looks stronger. Obviously, the quality of the plate appearances have been really, really good. The results have been really, really good. His defense, we know what that is at shortstop. He's back to, you know, really his natural position, which I think is a great thing. There's no doubt he's primed for a huge year. And, oh, by the way, it's his walk year. So if he can take a step up from what he was last year, I mean, Ha-Sung Kim is primed for a huge, huge year. And the other thing that stands out, quite honestly, you know, he's really firmly asserted himself as part of this team's core. Now, obviously, right now, that's not long-term. He's a free agent at the end of the year. But when you go inside that clubhouse and you see the way he interacts with Manny and Profar and Tatis and the way these guys sit around and talk and interact with one another, I got to say, he's really become a core guy, which I'm not breaking any news here, but you really feel it when you're around this team and how important his presence is to this team. And look, every sign, every data point you can point to right now, whether it be spring training results or just seeing what he's done or how he looks, it's pointing in a very, very positive direction to maybe Ha-Sung Kim putting together an even better year, no doubt.
I feel like tomorrow's going to be a big day for Sammy News as well as they leave for Korea and the final roster decisions are announced. Sammy, have a good one today. We'll speak to you tomorrow. Oh,
Sammy,
Paulie's got something?
Put on your investigative journalist hat again, like you're in college. See if you can find the social media, the content department snooping around with the cameras. We really want to see those conversations being had. Like, the teams post those videos of guys, hey, guess what? You're on the squad. You're coming with us.
Hey,
Stuff
kid,
like that.
pack your bags.
We're
Show.
hoping to see some of that content here in the next few days.
It's also my Chris
Yeah,
Foster.
you know what? Again, but I will say this. It comes down to what is the conversation today, right? Like, is it, hey, you're going to Korea and then we're going to decide there? Is it you're going to be on the active roster? I'm not sure. But, Paulie, if I can sneak a recording device in there, I'll try. Just kidding for any Padres people listening. No recording device.
They love when you surreptitiously hide recording devices, as seen at the winter meetings a few years ago.
Not
It's
something I'm doing. Not from us.
Right.
Sam, appreciate it. Have a good one.
No. All right, see ya.
Sam Levitt, live from Padres Spring Training, presented by your San Diego County Toyota Dealers Association. We make it easy. You want to see the positive, the good news, right? You don't want to see the bad news. Oscar Mercado, I'm sorry you didn't make our roster.
I mean, it is good content, and it would be a first. Hey, he's all excited. There's cameras in. Hey, grab a seat. If you would.
What's going on here? We just wanted to let you know.
Do you like you're
going down to AAA?
Yeah, you like El Paso out there? All right, hit the bricks, pal.
Ouch.
I mean, it would be good content, but it'd be tough.
We've got 1 hour left. Paulie's got some headlines in the Reindl Report coming your way next.
Great Reindl Report coming.
Looking forward to it?
Yeah.
All right. That is on the way on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're just talking about Ha-Sung Kim. What if he has a huge season? I mean, going into free agency, he can really.
They always do.
He can really ramp up his value. I mean, everyone says Juan Soto is going to have a monster year going into free agency. There's no guarantee of that, but a lot of the guys do end up having really
as close of a guarantee.
If
as
you added
a lot of guys have really big seasons going into free agency. And if you think Juan Soto is going to have one, then why wouldn't you think Ha-Sung Kim is going to have a huge season this year?
If you add it all up, ex-Padre, gets traded. That's one. Number two, goes to New York. Bright lights, short porch. I think he's hitting 500 in spring training. Every other hit is a home run so far. He's in a walk
he's
year.
Going to have a massive.
His agent, Scott Boras. There's another really wealthy team across the boroughs that they've already got their eyes on him. It's a really good position to be in.
Fine.
I mean, it is a really, really, everything's working in his favor.
Do you not believe the same is true about Ha-Sung Kim?
I do.
He's going to have a huge season. Now, it feels like
players, but
I mean,
yeah.
it's not about
I just want him
necessarily. Ha-Sung Kim always plays like his hair is on fire. He can't ramp it up even more. Oh, now that I'm going to be a free agent, I'm really going to start trying now.
I think I said it at spring training or something, or maybe when we got back, but moving to the shortstop position, more demanding on your body, certainly. And he's so hard to corral. Very much like remember when Fernando came up and we were like, dude, easy. It's okay. Like your best availability or your best ability is availability for Ha-Sung Kim, for Fernando Tatis Jr., for Manny Machado. Those guys, you need them on the field. I would never want to tell a guy to, do less, but in some cases, it's like, we need you for the long haul. And that position, Ben, he's going to be diving around. He's going to be chasing every ball down the third base line. He's going to be going balls out like he always does. And, I really hope for his safety and health this season because he goes hard.
If there is a need to replace Ha-Sung Kim, if he leaves in free agency, there is another candidate from Korea who's going to be posted next offseason. AJ Preller's always on it. Former teammate of Ha-Sung Kim, middle infielder, has won multiple gold gloves, both at shortstop and second base. And his name is Haesung Kim. He's HYE-SEONGKIM. I don't think they're related. They were teammates once, but he's supposed to be coming over to the big leagues posted next offseason and might be the next big thing from Korea. So I didn't even realize there was a Haesung Kim to go with a Ha-Sung Kim.
Be funny, if we lost Kim and then you replaced him with Haesung Kim. Fits right in.
Ha-Sung King.
Ha-Sung King.
Haesung King.
Haesung King.
Haesung King. So he's out there as a potential next big star from Korea.
Okay.
All right, Paulie, let's get to some headlines.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right.
Paulie, you mind if I jump in with some breaking Padres news?
Please do.
Just got the email from the San Diego Padres. Padres season ticket memberships have sold out.
Okay.
Thanks to our faithful fans, the Padres have set a new franchise record for season ticket memberships, eclipsing the previous mark set in 2023. And memberships for the 2024 season have now sold out. Beginning today, all remaining tickets for the 2024 season will be available on a single game basis at padres.com/tickets.
Okay.
So,
got to deliver.
Sold out.
Time to
despite the disappointment of last season and despite the payroll reduction of the off-season, the Padres say that interest and enthusiasm for the team in terms of season ticket sales has at least never been higher than it is right now.
I mean, the pressure's on. Shout out to the fans of San Diego who continue to show up.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's all you, 100%. It's unbelievable.
And for the people who keep asking the question, How come ticket prices go up even though payroll is going down?
Because of demand.
Because of supply
and demand.
And demand.
Now,
supply is now
don't
low,
get Ben splaining on everybody, Ben.
is high.
Don't get. You're looking so eager right now. Remember.
So
hey,
when,
by the way,
supply goes down,
we don't get a cut.
We don't. I'm giving you the news that I just got today, just moments ago from the Padres. All right, Paulie, please.
All right, we'll start off in college basketball. Some audio from over the weekend that we missed yesterday.
This was unbelievable audio.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
You do not hear this
you just
often.
don't hear this.
So we're talking women's college hoops right here in the Mountain West. And the Utah State Aggies, the Lady Aggies, they did not have a good year.
Not as good as the men's team did, that's for sure.
They, in fact, in conference play, they went 2-16. It did not go very well for them. And when they were ousted from the Mountain West tournament, the coach comes out and does her press conference with the media following their loss to Boise State, I believe it was. And she was asked, how do you plan to rebuild the team over the offseason? And listen to this answer.
So frank.
And how do you plan to rebuild for next season?
I'm not going to be rebuilding. I just coached my last game at Utah State. I spoke with Diana, and they're going in a different direction, and I respect her decision, and I hope they get a really good coach in. I'm assuming that's going to be the last question.
Yep, it is, actually, because you're not the
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
anymore. How do you feel now about asking that question? Nobody knew that
Well,
information.
no.
No.
Why
Still,
would you
but
tell
you
her?
still feel
You
terrible.
couldn't wait 5 minutes until after she met with the media.
No, it's
but-
smart. Why would you do that? Because then she answers
Well,
that
that's true. Then
question
she's
of
gotta
like,
go
well,
through
I'm
the
gonna
whole
don't worry, I'm gonna hit the recruiting trail hard, and then you come off
I
stage
guess
and
that's
like
fair.
you come
Maybe
off
the
stage.
Mountain West just releases an announcement. The Utah State coach will not appear in the post-game press conference as she has just been relieved of her duties. I mean, it was awkward for sure, but I don't know how you handle that any differently. She handled it as classy as I think you can.
Yeah, Kayla Ard was her name, and I guess at first when I first saw that, I was like, you can't do that to her. Right after the game, walking off the court, hey, you're fired. Go do your press conference. But you make a good point. If you don't tell her, I mean, the
Then you're just
decision was
letting her
already made, I guess. But
you're just letting her twist in the wind then at that point and answer questions for no reason.
Could wait 48 hours and then have that meeting.
Could have a reflection period for a day or two. By the way, congratulations to the Aztecs. They pulled off the upset yesterday. 7 seed over the 2 seed New Mexico, and San Diego State is into the semifinals of the Mountain West tournament, the women's side, and they will face 6th seeded Boise State, who also upset Wyoming. So they're a win over a kind of an equal team away from the Mountain West championship game, and 2 wins away from the NCAA tournament for Stacey Terry Hudson's crew.
The men's team take a page out of that book.
Exactly. I know Chris Ello is there still calling those games.
Let's get it
in
together.
Las Vegas. He's probably expected to be home by now, but a little surprising run for the SDSU women.
Good.
All right, that's it for sports today in the Randall Report. This is interesting. So we're only a couple of weeks out from Easter. Easter big with the boys, Woodsy?
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. I mean, they're
Easter baskets.
Hold on. Right now, we are full blown St. Patty's Day. I have leprechaun traps all over my home, and I mean all over my house. They're on the table. They're in the corners. There's little gold pieces. We are really trying to catch a leprechaun this year. It's what they're all about. Taylor came home yesterday with a new leprechaun picture. They love St. Patrick's Day in my house. But after that wraps up, if we do happen to catch one, it will be full bore Easter time.
Jelly beans,
the Easter eggs,
Easter baskets, Easter eggs, pastel clothing.
I almost got on Instagram again.
Cadbury
Have you guys?
eggs.
No, Cadbury eggs, repulsive. I almost got on Instagram. Have you guys seen this ad on Instagram? And I'll probably get it targeted again. It's this little thing.
You're talking about it now, so it's definitely
there's
gonna
this
pop up.
little thing that little kids can get. So it's a little box. It's got a couple little pegs in the side, and you put the egg in the little slot, and it spins the egg around, and you just hold your marker in one spot, and it draws it all around the egg. Then you do another different color. Then you do a different color. I thought my kids would love that, and they get to color and decorate the eggs.
Readers note, this item is drop shipped and costs 34 times what the original price is.
Or you could just do the
I
normal
get that
dunk.
like 400 times a day.
You get that?
On Twitter. Oh, every time I see a product and it always says, reader note, this item is drop shipped and they're charging 50 times what it is really worth, so don't buy it here.
The tattoo egg.
Well, if you really want to go all in for Easter, I've got a story here.
Okay.
Right up your alley.
I love it.
Peeps. Everybody loves Peeps.
Do they?
Yeah,
It's a big Easter
Yes,
treat.
you're right. It's a big Easter
It's
treat.
a marshmallow covered with sugar. Who wouldn't like a peep?
I don't like Peeps. I like marshmallows, though.
But
how do you like
cover them in
marshmallows and-
sugar and all of a sudden you don't like them?
They taste different to me.
Interesting.
Peeps are weird.
The marshmallows are made entirely of sugar to
Do you
begin
like the way
with.
they
Right.
smell?
So why do you need extra sugar on it?
Because it's extra sugar.
I do like the way they smell. I don't like the way they taste.
My friend, you are in luck. You can go to the discount store Five Below and get Peeps body spray for $5.
Body spray.
$5. Ben, it's right up your alley. Cologne guy. Are you a cologne guy?
No.
You're not.
Never.
Do you own any cologne?
No.
You never have.
No, I had the Adidas cologne when I was in high school. Adidas.
Why?
I don't know. That's just what I had, a little bottle of it.
Bought it at CVS?
Yeah, probably.
We'll get you some Peeps body
Peeps
spray.
Body spray. Feels like it might attract bees.
Comes in 2 different bottles, 2 different colored bottles, pink and yellow. The yellow
I bet it
bottle
smells good.
is marshmallow scented,
Probably smells like Delilah.
and the pink bottle is strawberry cream.
Oh, do they make strawberry cream Peeps?
I mean, pink. They have pink Peeps. I don't know if they're flavored or not.
They're all just different
I
colored
like
Peeps.
just the standard yellow Peep.
Save
Do you
that.
prefer the little chick or the bunny though?
I don't like either of them.
I know you don't. Paulie, do you have a preference?
I'm not
I
a
like
big
the
Peep.
bunny actually. Peep.
I didn't even know
over
they had
the chick.
different.
Yeah, there's bunnies and there's little chicks, like little birds. You guys don't know your Peeps very
No.
well.
Better than you, I would guess.
People have already started reselling the Peeps body
Yeah,
spray
this
on
item is
eBay.
drop shipped.
Drop shipped
50
34 times.
the price.
Interesting.
Peeps body spray.
So you're not a cologne. Paulie, are you a cologne guy?
I haven't been recently,
You're
but I do
clearly
like
a cologne guy. I smell you when I come up the
I've
elevator
told-
in the morning. Like,
Yeah.
Woods is already here because the elevator smells like Woods.
Smells delicious.
I've told
doesn't it?
Megan, like, if you
Find something.
something that you think would be good for me, feel free to get it.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I want her to think I smell good. I don't really care if I think I smell good.
I like to smell myself and smell good.
Save that.
What's
Yeah.
these I likes?
I have like 6 bottles,
6
different kinds.
Really?
Yeah.
I assumed you just had the same.
No,
He always kind of smells the same.
I mix
to
it
me.
up
You
depending
do?
on moods. Depending on my mood, I mix it up.
There's a Five Below not
I
too
smell
far
like-
from my house in Escondido. I'm gonna see if I
Is
can
there a
get some,
Five Below?
Yeah.
See if you can bring some
See
in.
if I can get some
I'd wear
Peeps
that.
cologne.
I smell like Costco body wash and shampoo.
There he is.
All right. Finally, we just stayed at an Airbnb not too long
We
ago.
did.
So
It
was
this
a good
is-
experience,
This is
wasn't
an
it?
interesting.
Yeah, it's actually for free, by the way. We stayed at a free Airbnb.
It has been announced that Airbnb will be banning the use of indoor security cameras in their home listings.
I did not know that they had them in listings, and
I always assumed it was a possibility.
Sure, there's always the possibility.
And if I'm in my bedroom and
What kind of creepy
they really
things-
want to see what happens,
Well,
I guess
you don't-
they can
You don't
have
want
a hidden camera.
You don't want to end up on the internet,
No.
going to war in your Airbnb bedroom.
Let me ask, well, has it stopped you?
No,
No.
it's my favorite place.
But
Unfettered,
I have
I did nothing untoward in our Airbnb.
which is incredible. You have all that time to yourself. No wife,
Stroganoff.
kids
I was
running around.
I was working.
So what? I worked.
I worked a lot.
Yeah, Paulie said I walked into Paulie's room. He was in bed with a laptop on his, but he was working.
I'm just
Wow.
like trying to lay down. I'm like, I got 2.5 hours if we're gonna go to dinner or whatever. I'm like, just nobody talk to me. Get my
So
work done.
not once.
No.
I don't know.
What is wrong with you? This is like that's what I look forward to the most about spring training. I'm like, 3 days, unfettered.
Because you'll
Not
see,
one time.
No.
That's embarrassing.
I'm sharing a house with you
You're
guys.
sharing a house,
There's
but
really-
you're not sharing a room or a
really
bed.
Are
not-
you
it's
upset then
not
to
that
know that
appealing.
your other 2 roommates were different than you?
Does that creep you out? Then if my door is shut, should I put a sock on the door next time?
I noticed your doors were shut a lot. A lot.
That's incredible. Incredible. Incredible.
So did previously have rules. It could not be in private rooms, like a bedroom or a bathroom. You could not have indoor cameras. You could have them in common areas like the kitchen, the living room, and outdoors. And they are banning all indoor security cameras for if you put your house up on Airbnb, you cannot have that.
Well, I mean, I would hope not, right? I mean, God only knows what they have. If they had them, what they would have
Parties
seen.
at the house,
yeah, parties,
see people in the living room.
I mean, I can see if you just want to be a responsible homeowner and make sure no one's destroying your home while you might want to have a camera or two, just monitoring potential, destructive behavior. Like
Airbnb said that most home listings on their website did not have indoor cameras, but if you did, you have like a month and a half to get rid of it.
I mean, no one
shut
has
it down.
more indoor cameras than this guy over here.
Oh, yeah, no one.
How many do you have in your home?
One in each child's room. That's two that I know of. There's one that goes out from like the desk into the kitchen and family room. That's three. There's one on the front door. There's one on the outside.
These are mostly babysitter cams? Are they just for your personal enjoyment? What have you ever how often do you check them?
I don't have the passwords to any of them. I can't check them. So in a court of law, she could be like, "Oh, he yelled at me this time. Here it is." Like you could get me being demonstrative or something if you wanted to. But I can't access it. Hannah could slit my throat on camera and I
Delete
can't
all
get
the video.
to it. Yeah,
There's
delete
nothing.
all video. I can't get to it. It's weird because I walk around nude a lot. And
totally nude.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Because you walked around almost nude at the Airbnb.
Yeah, well,
I'd be out working and you'd walk to the kitchen in your briefs and you just come to the refrigerator, open it
water.
up. There's nothing in there. You close it, you walk back. It's like, what's Woods doing?
We're a nude family. We are a bunch of nudists in my house. We're very comfortable with our nude bodies. You guys are not.
We're clothesists.
I'm not surprised. So there's a lot of hog on the camera in the kitchen, a lot, and boobs and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, if you want
to have kids, though, at some point you can't.
Our kids
keep
walk
doing
around
that.
nude, too.
Right? They're young enough, but when they're 14 and 12, you can't be walking around naked all the time.
I mean, I can.
No,
their mom probably can't, but I can. What are they going to do? I'm not going to walk over their friend when there's friends over. But if it's my kids watching cartoons,
know when there's friends over?
Of course. If they're watching cartoons on a Sunday morning and I walk out of bed and I'm nude, they don't care. Just used to it. It's very comfortable in my house.
Pretty comfortable in my house.
Don't be so stodgy. Be more loose.
Let it flow.
More free. Just let it flow a little bit. Okay?
I don't like to let it flow.
All right.
Thank you, Paulie.
You're welcome.
Timeout. Traffic. Fully clothed. Coming up next, Ben Woods.
Clothists, by the way. It's genius.
On 97.3 The Fan. Got your second to last lineup of the spring. Maybe really the final one. I can't imagine that you're going to see a ton of regulars tomorrow when they're about to get on a plane for Korea.
No.
So this might be the last chance to see Padres starters in a lineup as they take on the Arizona Diamondbacks this afternoon at 1:10 here West Coast and Arizona time. And while we made a lot about yesterday, maybe being with Graham Pauley at third and Manny Machado DHing and Profar in left field, could that be the opening day lineup? This one has a slight twist and also is intriguing. Shall we go through it?
We shall.
All right, leading off at second base, again, Xander Bogaerts.
Okay.
It's telling that he's been there consistently now the last few games. Yep. Batting second in right field, Fernando Tatis Jr., same. Jake Cronenworth batting third at first base. Manny Machado hitting fourth designated hitter. And Ha-Sung Kim, shortstop, batting fifth. I think that's exactly the same as yesterday. And as you get closer to the regular season, I think it's pretty easy to read into that's your top five in the order for the San Diego Padres. Now, could be different against lefties versus righties, but Bogaerts, Tatis, Cronenworth, Machado, Kim definitely seems to be a favorite now for Mike Schilt. Okay. Now, batting sixth today is Tyler Wade at third base instead of Graham Pauley. Is this the last bit of competition between Pauley and Wade for that third base job, or is it Wade's job now? And, Pauley could be ticketed for the minor leagues for a little more seasoning. Jurickson Profar is back out in left field hitting seventh. Kyle Higashioka is catching today. Clearly, he's going to be the number one backup to Luis Camposano, and Campy caught yesterday, so that's probably why Higashioka's in today. And then Jackson Merrill slotting again in the 9 spot in center field, batting ninth with Drew Thorpe on the mound for the Padres today against the D-backs. Your thoughts, Woods, on lineup variation number 2 here for Mike Schilt?
The first thing I thought of is I would rather see Graham Pauley at third base getting reps. I would. I know Tyler Wade's game. He's been in the game a while. I think there's some value to having a Tyler Wade type on your bench, but it feels like we have a bench full of Tyler Wades as is. So I would love to see Graham Pauley in there. That being said, I'm really excited to see Drew Thorpe on the bump today and hope he does well. I really, really like him and expect big things from him. Other than that, yeah, it's good. It's good. I saw somebody in the chat say, man, the other thing I thought about is Jackson Merrill in the 9-hole. And he's had a really nice spring. He makes really good contact. He doesn't chase a lot. There's nowhere to go but up, literally, for Jackson Merrill. If he breaks with the club, and it looks like he's going to, I don't expect him to be a 9-hole hitter for the entire season. I think that there is like...
No, but I secretly love him starting there.
I kind of love him starting there, too.
It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
It takes... Like, if you put him 5th or 6th, I think he's going to feel like, I got to hit home runs, I got to justify.
100%.
And he's such a bat-to-ball guy. I think in the 9 spot, it takes a lot of that pressure off. You just make good contact, singles, doubles, fine. He's got plenty of speed to be a re-table setter in front of Bogaerts and Tatis. Having Merrill out there with Bogaerts and Tatis coming up, love that at the bottom of the lineup.
I do too, man.
Love that at the bottom of the lineup. I think, though, I'm starting to lean toward Tyler Wade is going to be the guy. And it's simply for the fact that having both Merrill and Pauley with so little minor league experience, both being relied on at the same time.
Sure.
Let's start with one, and we can work another one in later. Tyler Wade, with more big league experience and more flexibility, honestly, eventually he's going to move to a utility type role when Manny returns to third base, and you can put him in a lot of different places. He's more of a Swiss Army knife kind of guy with big league experience.
And if you think about that, where is he hitting in the 6?
I don't know that I have him 6th, but you have him 6th today at least.
6 today.
And you probably have Campy 6th, maybe if it was a starting and you push Wade down a little bit, maybe. But you're trying to break up your lefties and righties,
spreading them out.
So
it's fine. It's no big deal.
So maybe I'm thinking now Wade might be the guy. And again, if you start the first 4 games, it doesn't mean you're the starting third baseman or the starting center fielder or whatever for the San Diego Padres. It's a 162-game season, and these are simply talked about a lot more because it happens to be opening day and the opening series, and we read a lot into it. But if some guy struggles, they're going to make changes. If they play well, Merrill probably will move up in the order. Won't be 9th forever. But this is, to me, a logical place to get started here in the 2024 season with a lineup that looks kind of like
I like
this.
it. That's fine. That's fine. And Satan's Blowfish making the point in the chat, too. 9-hole guy gets on. That's big for the top of the lineup. Hitting ninth definitely takes the pressure off. Center field gives him more value, mitigates a mildly underperforming bat. I'm with it. I'm with it. Jackson Merrill's going to be your starting center fielder. I'm excited for him. Excited for his beloved mom. So nice. His family's so great. It's a big, big day for him. And, listen, this last game, though, just get through it injury-free. Get your ABs. Don't go crazy. Just come through it healthy. But really, the thing I'm most excited about is Drew Thorpe today.
You can listen to Sam Levitt's podcast, Inside San Diego Baseball. He's still covering everything going on with the Padres at spring training. Find it at 97.3thefan, SD.com, the Odyssey app, or wherever you get your podcasts. We didn't really talk about it. We don't like to over-inundate you with big announcements, and we've had a couple of them already, but do we want to share our news when we come back?
Thanks for reminding me, because I had literally forgotten about it. It's not important.
I think we should share some.
But our 9 a.m. audience especially is going
you're
to
gonna like
this.
Some important Padres-related Ben and Woods news when we come back in our final segment of the show on a Tuesday with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. The management report is returning to the Ben and Woods show this season on 97.3 The Fan. If you have tuned in past seasons, every Friday morning throughout Padres season, we have been joined by various guests from the Padres organization. And it's always great. It's Friar Friday. Usually Gwen and Chris do a player guest in the afternoon, and it's just been the way things have been done the last couple of years. But we're always looking for better ways to do things, Woods. It's no secret. You know, you like to strive to be better. And
I do not like being stuck in a rut.
You don't.
My friend. I hate it.
So, as I said, teasing a bit of an announcement this morning on Ben and Woods. And I think this is good news. The management report will be back. But this year, every Friday morning at 9 a.m., we will be joined by the same guest. It will be the manager, Mike Schilt, who will be with us consistently on a weekly basis at 9 a.m. On Friday mornings on the management report here on 97.3 The Fan.
I have been fiending for this since we started here. That's what I want. That's who I want to talk to every week, and I always have. And it's been tough to get it done. Chase Tingler wouldn't do it. Bob Melvin wouldn't do it. And now we got our shot. Mike Schilt.
Hi, this is Mike Schilt.
Mr. P.F. Chang's himself. Mike Schilt will be joining Ben and Woods every week. I'm excited to talk to him and be able to go back over the week's games that were. That's what we've been missing that so much. When we would have Bomel on last year, there would be 75 things that had happened in the previous 6 weeks, and you really had to hone it down to one. This is every week. Mike, what the hell were you thinking doing that? And he'll go, well, this is what, that's what I've been dying for.
And full transparency, part of our purpose of having dinner with Mike when we were at spring training, we wanted to establish that relationship and hopefully
grease the wheels.
Set something up like this. Wouldn't happen without a great sponsor. SDCCU is on board and going to be sponsoring our management report. So we're going to get Mike Schilt set up with a good savings account rate at SDCCU for doing this for us all season long. And I'm looking forward to weekly conversations with the manager. Obviously, we'll go through the nuts and bolts, how the team is doing, but I think it'll also allow us to expand a little bit, keep it light at times, but also ask the tough questions when the tough questions need to be asked. And one of the great things we talked about and learned from Mike Schilt is he is not afraid of getting those tough questions when they are called for. And if they're weekly, if they're called for on a weekly basis, he understands that. I hope not, but he says, I'll be ready for it. And as he said, Tony La Russa told him, thank reporters who ask you tough questions because
gives you a chance.
They give you a chance to explain your thinking and your reasoning. And honestly, if you don't have reasoning or thinking, you shouldn't be in this job in the first place.
1,000%. It gives you the chance to explain yourself. And I'm here for it. I'm excited. I've loved everything about the skipper so far. And, listen, if this season goes great, fantastic. The interviews will be fun and lighthearted. And if the season goes to crap, the interviews won't be fun and lighthearted.
It just makes the conversations much more casual and I think entertaining for us, I think for him, and I think for the listeners.
For the audience as well.
Because when we had Bob Melvin on once every 4 to 6 weeks, it felt like it was a big deal. We had to hit him with hard questions.
You got to pound him when he comes in, yeah.
Something that happened 3 weeks ago, maybe. We don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be good, man. I'm really, this is what I've been clamoring for since we walked in the door here. Not that I don't, all right, I'm lying. I didn't like the management report. I didn't. I wanted a steady guy every single week, and we finally got it. And thank you to SDCCU. I owe you. It is phenomenal. Thank you for doing this.
Peter on once a year, Ron once a year,
AJ a couple times a year,
AJ a couple of times, and I still want AJ Preller a couple of times.
It's disjointed.
Those will be out. Can come on anytime he wants.
Those will be outside the context of the management report, which will be the manager's report with Mike Schilt every Friday morning at 9 a.m.
Sense.
Yeah, depending on if there's a weird schedule, we might have to adjust at times, but should be consistent. Friday mornings at 9 a.m. with Mike Schilt every week for the next, what is it? How many weeks was it? 37 weeks or something?
Something like that.
It's a long time. The baseball season is a long time. 27 weeks, whatever it is. All summer long into the fall with Mike Schilt here on 97.3 The Fan. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. Very much.
All right, Sammy's got a great question for players today. He's in the locker room. He's asking them all, how are you going to spend your 14-hour flight to Korea? And obviously, he's asking the guys that he knows are going for sure. We will talk about some of the answers and our own answers after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Wrapping things up with a couple of problems in the North County. Northbound 15 before the 78, collision blocking the right lane. And there is a collision blocking eastbound lanes of the 78 at Bear Valley Parkway. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah, just saw Sammy posting some of his content from the Padres clubhouse in Peoria. Got a little video with Jerks and Profar asking him what are you going to do for 14 hours on the flight to Korea.
And let's start with this 14, 15-hour flight coming up to Korea. Well, what does Jerks and Profar do on a flight that long?
Me and Manny were talking already. We're just gonna game. You know?
Game on what?
On laptop.
Okay.
Game and laptop. Yes.
How does that usually work? You got controllers for that? What do you play?
Controllers. We talk about we're going to play FIFA, so soccer.
When you guys play FIFA, what team is Manny? What team are you?
I don't know, but I'm going to be Real Madrid. I don't know which team he's gonna pick.
So they'll bring like a little system on the plane?
Well, they can use their laptops.
The laptop?
And they can do the PC version.
Okay. I like it.
You can plug a controller,
FIFA.
USB or whatever into it.
By the way, I just got a text. Speaking of FIFA, Manchester United coming to Snapdragon Stadium on July 31st. Tickets go on sale on the 14th, later this week at 9 a.m. Real Betis at Snapdragon Stadium. So soccer fans, there you go. Big soccer team. I guess Manny and Jerkson are kind of soccer fans, or at least video game
Manny
soccer
does have
fans.
some ownership stake in a future soccer
That's
team.
true.
So
Yeah, an MLS team.
I hope he's a soccer fan.
He's probably getting into it even more and more now that he's going to be part of the San Diego FC crew starting next season. Paulie wearing his San Diego FC hat this morning.
Ben says in the chat he doesn't think frequent local radio appearances will do anything to add to our win total. I don't know that you do I don't know that any interview ever at any time has added to someone's win total. What it gives us and you a chance to hear is like, why did you make that decision? I questioned that decision. What is your reason? What is your logic so that we can better understand going forward throughout the season why you may be inclined to make a move?
Somebody's not complaining about having hearing from the manager every week.
Yeah. Of course. No good deed goes unpunished ever. So listen, there's going to be a couple turds in the punch bowl. There always are. I'm excited about Mike Shilton every single week. And listen,
Bottom line, we have an audience filled with Padres fans.
Correct.
He's going to be directly communicating with those fans. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for the manager to be doing that with his fan base. If you don't see that, it's not to win more games. I mean, maybe I'll come up with a really good idea that I can pass along to him that will help them win more games. But I'm not expecting
Please
that.
don't tell Mike Shilton how to win more games. Please. His delusion. Don't let your golf delusion leak into baseball delusion. Please.
Again, it's unlikely, but is it within the realm of possibility that you or I could give Mike Shilton a good tip?
Oh, my God.
Yes, it's out of the realm of possibility.
That might be worse than
That's
thinking
worse
you could
than the
beat
golf bid.
Steve Sugimoto, pro golfer.
I mean, you are a manager of a baseball team.
Yeah,
You must
1
have
and
used
2.
some insight.
I swear to
need
God,
insight
if you
from
bring
him.
that up to Mike
If they
Shilton,
start
I'm gonna
0-3,
turn
then
your
your
microphone
insight
off.
will become very valuable.
We're 1 and 2. 1 and 2.
Mike, here's what I would have done if this was my adult league team.
I would never. Oh my God, that would mortify me. It would be like saying I could beat a professional golfer. You know, like I couldn't even
Moron.
imagine.
Kind of idiot would ever say that.
No, but it's lineups, it's this and that, and you know, it's fun. That's really, really fun.
So back to the question of the day from Sam Levitt. 14 hours on a flight. I've never been on a flight that long in my life.
I have a few.
Even when I went to Europe, we had connections. I think the longest I had was London to San Diego back with the Chargers, but that was only 9 or 10, I think. It wasn't 14. Don't know. What would you do on a 14-hour? I mean, you want to sleep as much as possible, but I don't sleep on planes very well.
No, I can't. And this is going to be a nice, cozy plane. What I try to do on every flight is I try to start by reading a book. And that usually zonks me out for a while. Then I'll wake up, grab an apple juice, and then watch something on my phone, like a movie or something. Then I usually fall asleep again. I'm kind of up and down sleeping and watching movies the whole time. But a book, magazine, clutch on a plane. That's really it for me. Nothing crazy. I did one time take like a Game Boy on a plane, and it was pretty awesome. Like playing MLB The Show on like one of those. I don't even remember what it was. It was like yay
Nintendo
big.
Switch, maybe?
It wasn't a Switch. It was the PS.
PS
The
something.
little
Oh,
PS
I know,
one,
yeah.
and it was awesome. I mean, you kill like 3 hours right now, playing baseball. So it sounds like that's what Manny and Profar are going to do.
I mean, I'll download a movie oftentimes and watch one of those, but that doesn't to 2-hour movie and knowing, all right, to watch that, and I've got 12 more hours to kill. I can't watch 6 movies in a row. You could?
Oh yeah.
I
Just
fall
keep
asleep.
back to back to
I mean,
back
I would
to
try
back.
to sleep, but I could watch 6 movies in a row.
I'm telling you, now you got me nervous. You're going to be telling Shil. I probably would have gone Matsui there instead of Go, but can you explain your logic behind that?
I'm only if I have a really good idea, like sound good idea.
You're going to see me breathing into a paper bag in the middle of this interview every single week. The tips, please don't give him any tips.
What do we think about just drinking to the point of oblivion on a flight?
I can't. I'm not a big drinker.
I know.
On a plane,
I don't either.
I don't feel comfortable. Being drunk on a plane is not. It's never been pleasurable.
I don't want to have to get up and go use the restroom a lot.
Yes. What about the Mile High Club? How about that? Are you a member?
I am surprisingly.
It would be funny if he was. Out of all the things he
a
hasn't
member
done.
of the Mile High Club.
You're a big guy. It would take a.
I've probably only been in an airplane lavatory like twice. Just because I don't want to get up, I just like sit in my seat
It's
the
so
entire
tight
flight.
in there.
It's
You're
so
so
tight.
big.
I'm a big guy. It's not comfortable for me.
You must have to
And the worst thing is when you get up and then someone's there and you just got to wait and stand in the aisle and everyone knows why you're there.
And
It's
there's
like,
somebody sitting there and you have to stand next to him. So sorry, man.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
You know what I'm going in to do. It's like, and I can't.
Or if you get
I
caught
can't
behind
hide
the
it.
cart.
Oh yeah.
You get caught behind the cart and you're waiting. It's the worst. Paulie, are you in the Mile High Club?
I am not.
That's too bad.
Are you?
No, God, no. Well, I'm trying to think if I would. I don't think it would. Be
I don't
comfortable.
think-
You wouldn't say no.
I don't think
you
I
would,
could.
You would try it.
I would be too nervous to get caught. I really am a kind of a nervous.
What would happen if you got caught?
You get in trouble.
Do you get in trouble?
Yes, you get in trouble.
Why would you get in trouble?
Fornication on a plane is
I
probably.
don't think there's like a legal statute. If it's 2 consenting adults and you go into, you're not show. I mean, you're in a lavatory, so no one sees you. What's the crime?
Public indecency.
But no one's seeing you. You're in the lavatory. You're not doing it in the
by
middle
your-
of the aisle.
So by your logic, 2 consenting adults can do that wherever they want. They can go to Mickey D's bathroom.
If no one can see them, yeah.
I
right?
don't think that's.
I mean, yeah. If there's a bunch of people in front of you, you can't do that. That's public indecency. But if you're if you're by yourself,
Sounds like a man speaking
and
from
no one can
experience.
see you, there's nothing wrong about that. That's just doing
yes,
something
there is.
natural.
No.
That's just doing something beautiful and natural.
Brandon says it's a federal crime once it's in the air. So now you're going to
federal crime.
Federal effing prison. Federal prison is where you're going.
I just can't
federal
believe
effing
that.
prison.
I cannot believe that. It's a crime.
Somebody needs to let me know if that is all right. What if you're in the movie theater and no one can see you? You just knock one out in the back row. Nobody can see you. That's fine.
I mean, if there's no
What
one
if
else
there's no
in
one
the
else
theater?
in the theater? You can't just go do that
is it a
wherever you
crime?
want.
You
You are a
can't-
perv.
You can't like go to like Target, for example, and they have the gender neutral single
shut the door
person bathroom.
Go to
You
war.
can't do that in there.
That rhymed.
What
door and
can
go
you
to
do
war.
in there? I mean, you're doing gross things there anyway. I mean, why is that worse than
is
what
not
you
the hill I
normally
expected
do in the
Ben Higgins to
bathroom?
die
I didn't
on.
either. This is like you're.
I'm a big what you do in the bathroom behind closed doors is up to you. Is your own personal prerogative. And if you want to bring someone in there who wants to be in there with you,
all right. So you
go
go to
ahead.
Petco Park to go number 1.
Okay, but
And
that's different. That's a bathroom where other people are coming in. If you can lock a door and no one can get in to the room where you are.
There's a supply closet here at the office.
Is it
no
locked?
problem? Yeah, it locks.
Yeah, I would say so.
Interesting. And
I mean, you don't have to advertise it to everyone. Like, you come out and be discreet. One person goes in, then like a minute or two later, the next person casually goes in.
You've thought
then
about
one
this.
person comes out, and then you wait like a minute or two, and the next person casually comes out.
John says, what if you're in an Oakland A's game? Yeah, it's fair game. Anywhere at an Oakland A's game, you can do that.
I think fans have tried that.
All right, here we go. Balsamic Vinny says, charged with committing lewd, indecent, or obscene acts in public aboard an aircraft is a federal misdemeanor. If convicted, you could face 90 days in jail and a fine of $500.
But if you're discreet about it, no one's gonna put up a fuss. They're not gonna send the air marshals after you.
All right.
Now, if you're like screaming and moaning and making a big disturbance behind the little occupied sign, then yeah, that's probably inappropriate. But if you're doing it fairly quietly and no one can tell,
you are as freaky of a human being as I had no idea.
Just logical, I think. That's how I am.
That's one way to say it.
All right, is that it?
Well, don't expect too much of that on the Padres plane.
All right, tomorrow, last day of spring training, essentially, for the San Diego Padres. Annie and Elston are coming up next for our executive producer, imaging director, Paul Reindl. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Tuesday from all of us here at 97.3 The Fan. So long.